I want to see him in that, and you could just see him smiling, as he's coming up to kick your ass.
Now, hopefully, I'm not making any promises or guarantees, but I believe I've got everything on the stream freaking straightened out with the issues I was having the last time. So, I'm.
I'll tell you what. When I stream like I'm streaming right now,
Mm-hmm.
I don't lose anything. When I do stream on Sunday, I don't lose any drop any frames. The minute I come on Wednesday night, I start dropping frames. The minute I long stream.
I've been finding out that a lot of this shit, man, is well. First of all, what happened is I went on there and I did the freaking wizard on OBS, and it set my freaking frames per second up to 10,000. And I was like, what the fuck, dude? 10,000 is just way too high.
Lots of those good ONFs with content.
Well, I've never had to use 10,000 frames per second.
Well, yeah, that's ridiculous. That's stupid.
What, 10,000 frames per second?
Yeah, that's really stupid.
I'm barely using 60. I can definitely
30.
I can get away with 30. I can actually get away with 25 for what I do.
Yeah, or 26 use PAL TP formats. But yeah, 26 frames per second is the ideal for our sort of content.
Yeah, I'd say. Well, let me hold on. I've got some weird shit going on X again, so I'm not quite sure what's taking place with all that shit.
On X?
Yeah.
I just added Jack Carey on X a little while yesterday.
Okay, let me check this stream key. Sometimes it freaking acts all crazy and shit. Actually, here. Modify this better.
What the hell was that, Mark?
He's
me dying.
You dying over there?
Something like that, yeah.
I know 911 doesn't work in England, all right? So how the hell can we help you out if something goes?
They've got like 311.
Can I use like F4 or 8 to shock you and defib you?
No, that's okay. Today's just been awful. I went to sleep about 4 or 5 hours ago. Just fell asleep. Awful. I've only been off for the last hour, half an hour.
Okay, so
50 minutes.
so we've got everything up and running, I believe. Now let me. Odyssey, I've got to get Odyssey up and going. So
Odyssey's a pain in the ass because you have to change it every time. Other than the nice thing about Odyssey is you don't have to change the key, but every time you have to put a title.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I have.
Okay.
Not played around with Odyssey, so back end.
But every time you have to put a.
There we go. So you guys have got that going on. I did all the audio, checked it out. I think we have everything hooked up. It looks like it is. Did all the audio. Yeah. So we have Rumble going. We have X going. YouTube and Odyssey. I can't use Twitch for right now because I found out their frame rates are way freaking smaller than. That's originally what caused the problem.
No BitChute.
On Twitch, see, if you use Beam to go over and stream into Twitch, you don't have that problem.
I keep
because
forgetting.
it'll automatically adjust down to it Yep,
you're right. And I even went in there and started an account too. I forgot. I keep forgetting about it every time. And all I'd have to do is hook it right into the OBS.
Mhm.
that is true. I went in and got everything set up. So before we get started, I have got to go make my coffee. So you guys occupy yourselves and talk and talk about weird shit too. Don't
Weird shit.
Yeah, don't hold back.
Shit.
I sent a message to Sonia to see if she wanted to come back in here too, because
I've not spoken to her in a good month or something.
So I'll be right back.
So what kind of weird shit you got going on over there in the UK?
Well,
right
good
now?
or weird, good or
Since that's supposed to be the topic of our conversation. Now, weird shit around here is, hey, we eat a lot of food, so there's going to be weird shit when we hit the restroom or bathrooms, all right? So, turkey and ham and, the stuffing's going to be coming out one way or the other, but I'm busting into the seams here, but how are things over there, Mark?
The UK is wonderful at the moment, especially the political fucking landscape. Jesus, I don't know, it's mental over there at the moment. But personally, it's been quiet. But yeah, politically.
But is that good, Is that good that things are quiet? Or does that mean that, that they're, hiding stuff?
People hide stuff all.
Yeah, they always hide stuff. What would they be hiding at this time of year? Budget stuff? What would alien technology? Secret Russian agents that have defected. What are they hiding over there that we're not hearing about here?
Actually, they've been very transparent. All the farmer stuff and all the removing electric subsidies to OAPs. They've been extremely clear. Part of the globalist cabal. Yeah, all related to the great globalist plan.
Yeah.
Of their cultural Marxism or technocratic Marxism. Those.
They're bloody savages. I know they are. I'm glad I don't have to deal with them here, and I'm sure we will eventually, because, it's just a jump across the pond. But
you've got Trump coming in, so there is some hope.
What do you think? A lot of people are saying about a world monetary crisis going to happen, where all currencies are just going to crash.
Yeah, the sort of a crash in fiat.
In fiat currencies,
Euro being probably one of the first. Pound, then dollar, then Australian and Canadian blurbs. And that would be a good excuse for them to come in and say central digital banks.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of concerned about. I don't like the idea.
Electronic IDs cards, and then Chinese Sesame system.
Mm-hmm. That's next.
Well, possibility.
Was supposed to be fiction, but why are they making it so reality?
I am back.
Heart and mind.
So I'm running 15 minutes late, but it's perfectly fine because that's the way we roll around here, and we say a lot of horrible things like cuss words and shit.
Who does that?
I feel bad for freaking you and Jaffe, dude. Like, Jaffe's having Tourette syndrome
Yeah,
because of my F
exactly,
words.
yeah, geez.
And then I started changing the F word to frick instead of the fuck word. And now he's getting all traumatic because I keep saying frick all the time. It took me forever to train myself to do that, you know.
She's just at Penelope's right now.
So,
Kids. Sorry.
so I'll get this on the roll if you guys want to start it out.
Yeah.
Okay.
I really don't know what I'm gonna say, but I'm just kind of hanging out
I'm
because I ain't got nothing better to do, right? How about you, Mark?
Yeah. So I'm just going to play along.
Yeah, there you go.
Now, this stuff is actually just going to be about. Have you guys ever heard of Al Kendi?
Who?
No, you
Al
mentioned
Kendi.
my name earlier.
Okay, so what
I've heard of alchemy. All right.
Al Kendi.
No, alchemy.
Well, you can get into that too in this one. It has some stuff to do with all that.
I've heard about that. Where they want to turn gold into lead or the lead into gold thing.
Yeah. Alchemy.
So let me.
Yeah, alchemy.
Yeah.
Let
I
me
don't know about that Al Kenny guy.
okay. So, actually,
Um,
I'm not even related to him. Are you, Mark? Do you know him?
Never heard of him before.
you never heard of him?
At least not that I can remember.
Okay. So let me
Not that I'm aware.
let me see how this affects my stream before I get started on it. All right, there we go. There we go. I have got it set up to where we've got a good list of everything on the stream. That way people know what's being
Are you
seen.
sure about that? Are you really?
No, I'm
When I come on air and that, I'll take like a half hour before time. I'm looking just to make sure, and even the pre-show, I'm like, oh man, something's gonna. It's all hell's gonna break loose. I'm like, yeah, there it goes. I'm like, well, I can. There we go.
okay. So after this, we'll get it going. Now, I've got everything set up with the talking points. Now I've got a whole lot of them so that we have something. And it's like you haven't really been on this one with me too much, Mark. But this is Into the Abyss, and like the thing of it is, I put it, or I have these talking points, but there's a lot of them, so I don't like share them with everybody.
You've already had them.
Right,
Added
and
them, the
yeah.
4, 5, whatever, 6.
Now the thing of it is just like, if anything crosses your mind that you want to discuss because of something that I read, okay, then talk about it, all right? And I'm not going to cover every single thing if I don't have to. The only reason why I make these talking points is so that if it gets quiet, I can go on to the next talking point. So that's basically the point of it.
Yeah.
So don't worry about having notes or anything like that, because I know how you're big on that. So let me go ahead. Let me go ahead and hit freaking do my countdown and hit record, and we'll get started. So okay.
This feels so off for me because I'm the one that does countdowns.
Yeah, no. Okay, 3, 2, 1, now. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Into the Abyss. We are going further into the research that I've been putting into this effort. Last time we were discussing divination, or a couple of episodes we had been discussing divination, numerology, and things of that nature, where before we went through philosophy. So now, we even got into a little bit of ancient demonology and stuff too with the divination. But now we're going back to a more philosophical standpoint, looking at some stuff from ancient history that I wanted to go over and discuss. But before we do that, I'd like to introduce people who are on the panel. We have Mark. He's coming back.
Watashik.
Watashik. There we go, Watashik. We got Mark Watashik back with us for another episode of Into the Abyss, as well as Mark Edworthy. Now, I've had Mark Edworthy on other streams, but this is actually the first time I've had him on Into the Abyss. Now, Mark, this is going to be a completely different experience from what you're used to with me, okay? It's actually pretty cool, so... Before we get started, if you guys want to say something, go for it.
Yeah, I'm Dragus Productions as well. So if anybody out there is listening and you can't find or spell my name, you can always look up Dragus Productions. You'll find me and all the shows that I do and produce.
And just to set it straight, it's not saying his name, or it's not freaking spelling his name, it's pronouncing it. That's weird. Like, I could spell your name all day long, but it's just...
Oh, yeah, I'm telling you, Mark Edworthy will not have a problem with that, because there's lots of Polish people in England right now, and they were complaining about that, I've heard in the past, about overpopulating England with Polish people.
Just to think about it, I can't think of any Polish people I know all that much.
Well, to be fair,
I don't know many Polish people to be fair.
To be fair, taking up for the English and everything, the English actually just hate everybody. They don't want...
Everybody's bloody savage.
We don't.
I get it.
We do not discriminate.
Yeah, they don't want any of us to come into their country. They're like, go freaking back. We don't want you here. Like, you muck up the water with your American crap.
Well, what are you talking about? They don't even like people that cross their inner borders either, like the Irish and the...
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know these days. I don't know these days with the EU. Jesus, yeah.
Okay, so with that being said, Mark, you want to say something?
Hello, people. I'm meant to give you my Minds link. So, I'm at minds.com/Medworthy.
Commonly goes by Medworthy, and you can find him on Minds Chat too. He's the moderator of the general chat room, which is a pretty good place to hang out and get to know everybody. So, with that being said, I'll tell you my name. My name is Roger Hansen. You can find me on everywhere, so check me out.
Everywhere.
So, except for BitChute, I just, for some reason, I cannot go on BitChute anymore. Like, they just, it's really weird over there. Suspicious. The dark forces have spoken. So, with that being said, I'm going to get into the topic. Now, today I want to talk about Al-Kindi. Now, you guys, before we started the recording, had told me you'd never heard of Al-Kindi, right?
Right.
Not that I can remember.
But I've heard of alchemy.
All right. And there'll be some of that in this, because Al-Kindi had a pretty strange philosophy. Now, Al-Kindi was coined the philosopher of the Arabs. Now, he was born in Kufa around 801 CE during the flourishing of the Abbasid Caliphate. Now, his whole name is Abu Yusuf Yaqub ibn Ishaq al-Kindi. Okay, and he became one of the most remarkable polymaths of the Islamic Golden Age. Now,
so was he actually a magi then?
He was more of a philosopher, mathematician, just like Mark said, and he was one of the people, like, during the time. Well, we all know about the Library of Alexandria and how it was destroyed. Okay, now a lot of people aren't aware of it, but like after that happened, the majority of information that was retained actually came from the Arab world. Okay, um, because and a lot of the lost information that was lost in the Library of Alexandria was actually retained through the Arab world because they were really big on storing that stuff up too, and they'd travel to Alexandria and copy this literature. And this is what Al-Kindi was into. He was into studying these old philosophies that came out of the Alexandria and the Arab world. So that's what he was basically about. Now, his birth coincided with an era of immense intellectual curiosity. Okay, and it was fostered by the Abbasid rulers of Baghdad, particularly under Caliph Harun al-Rashid and his successors. Now, there was an organization during that time period that was called the House of Wisdom in Baghdad, and it was established under Caliph al-Mamun, and it became a nexus for scholars of various religions and cultural backgrounds. So like when you start hearing about like all of these philosophers from Greece and traveling, into the Middle East for knowledge, especially to Babylon, this is the place where they all went to for that ancient knowledge. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah,
Like,
the Asian version of yeah.
okay, so you'll hear about like you guys heard of Pythagoras, right?
Yeah.
Okay, this is why Pythagoras traveled to Babylon, was so that he could retain this knowledge that they retained from the Library of Alexandria and other philosophies as well. So that's kind of breaking into it, but they called this the House of Wisdom. Okay. Greek, Persian, Indians, and other texts were translated in this place into Arabic, which created a fertile intellectual environment. Now, while many contemporaries usually followed like Greek tradition blindly, Al-Kindi sought to synthesize and adapt foreign knowledge into Islamic principles. Okay, and Al-Kindi's intellectual pursuits were like staggering in their breadth, spanning philosophy, mathematics, astronomy, medicine, optics, music, cryptography, and alchemy. There's that word alchemy that you like so much, Mark.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he.
College.
Yeah. What was you gonna say?
Oncology. I mean alchemy.
Yeah, oncology. I actually, whenever I started getting into all this stuff, wanted to relate that to a lot of the stuff from back then too. You know what I mean? Because there's a crap load of correlations, and especially when it comes to divination. When you hear about how they would use entrails of animals to try to foretell the future,
Isn't that more of a European thing?
No,
Although much more of a European.
it is in like in ancient times it's more like Roman and Greek and stuff too, but they did it all over the place. It was in Persia. I mean, they did it in the Arab countries. They also did it over. Well, it wasn't Persia or the Arab countries in Mesopotamia until later, but like in those regions they practiced it. It was very widely used, like the Sumerians, they were into stuff like that too, which we covered that on here as well. I believe we did, yeah. We got into the ancient mystics of the the Sumerians and the
The
Babylonians.
Assyrians.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it was pretty interesting how we did that. But what I wanted to do there was kind of related to like you'll hear about in the scientific world where they do research on animals. Like they've got tests where they'll take a chimpanzee and they'll put wires to its eyeballs and then give it electromagnetic.
EC, E, ECG, is it ECG? Yeah, ECG has been a technique that's been around for good 200 years.
Yeah, but
It sort of stopped mainly in the UK and the US in the 80s, as late as the 80s.
But you know, I mean, that they would actually freaking videotape just so they could, and they still do it actually. They would always record their reactions on a physical level as well as like visibly. You know what I mean? Like how their eyes would freaking twitch or and shit like that.
And now that we got usage of things like brain scanners, CAT scanners.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know, I mean, the correlation between that and the divination and stuff is just right there in your face. And people just refuse to freaking see that. You know what I mean? And I find that kind of that interesting. That's something that I did want to actually start getting into, but I think it's a little bit too complicated for a lot of people to understand. You know? Okay, so he was also involved with astronomy, mathematics, philosophy, medicine, optics, music, and cryptography. Now, there's a few of these that I do want to break off and go through on some of them, especially because the one thing that I do want to focus on is philosophy, or a couple things actually, is philosophy, optics, and music. Now, I love cryptography, and if you guys want to talk about that, we can talk about it and stuff like that, but that's what I'm going to keep more focused on when it comes to this, because there's a few good things when it comes to Al-Kindi and these things, and there's a lot of strange coincidences too that kind of correlate with what's going on in today's world, like in our episode where we were talking about divination. I was talking about how I even mentioned it on Nancy's show, where their divination was actually a part of what we have for facial recognition, and
Sense.
you know,
What sense?
well, the principle that was used behind it was a divination that started back in the Middle Ages, where like whenever the guy who came up with the concept of trying to determine who a criminal was by taking and doing a artist's render of a criminal. That all started out of divination.
Okay. Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah.
You know, and then he also went by with his photos, and it was when film started coming around, so it wasn't even the Middle Ages. It was during the late, what was it, 1800s maybe.
1800s. Film only been popular in what, the last 150 years?
Right around the 1800s.
Really?
I had it in a previous episode if you want to check that out, but what he did is he took all these photos of these criminals and he tried to put them together to see what a real criminal would look like because of the way they looked. And to his dismay, when he put all these photos together, it made the criminal's image look better. Okay? And that is basically what led up to what we have today with frickin' facial recognition and with AIs where they create frickin' avatars on AI to where they make like these beautiful women or, you know, beautiful men and all that stuff. They're taking these images and they're combining them together and creating that image.
Perfect man.
Yeah.
Perfect person.
It's pretty interesting when you check that out. It's really good. And there's other things too that I do want to bring up too when it comes to that kind of stuff. So now let me see where I'm at. I believe I was just finishing up on the part where he's talking about alchemy. Okay. Now, Al-Kindi's genius lay not in the depth of his understanding, but also in the ability to draw connections between disciplines. So he was an interdisciplinary kind of person, you know what I mean? He would go from one discipline to another discipline and connect dots and put them together, which is something that I find fascinating, especially for that time period, because people today still have a problem with doing that, you know what I mean? Al-Kindi was one of the first Islamic philosophers to incorporate the works of Aristotle, Plato, and Plotinus into Islamic thought. Through careful translations and commentary, he explored the nature of the soul, cosmology, and the universe, and the universe's unity under God's creation. Now, one of his most profound contributions was the idea that reason and revelation can coexist harmoniously. He believed that philosophy was a tool to understand divine truths and was not inherently contradictory to religious teachings. Now, he did a treatise, and it was called On First Philosophy, and it reflected his approach to metaphysics, where he sought to reconcile monotheism with Neoplatonic ideas. Now, he argued for the existence of a prime mover and saw God as the ultimate source of all being and knowledge. Now, this kind of goes into the agent intellect. Have you guys heard of that?
A little bit, but you know, I never got really deep into it.
So what are your ideas on it? From what you understand, what does it come down to?
I think that's where it really comes down to where the other religions start to and philosophies go into like a one belief system. Do. But with that one belief system, there's a lot of shared beliefs with it. So, and you know, it cross platforms into other areas. You know, like the living, you know, environment around you, animal, you know, and the reactions and all that. And that's probably something that Da Vinci actually got into later on, or you know, picked up some of the teachings from.
Yeah, I agree with that. Now, here lately, me and Nancy were talking about, well, I call it the cosmic weaver, or the cosmic weave. You know what I mean? That's what I call it. And I was talking to her about it, and you guys on her show. It might have actually been on Cafe Enigma when I brought it up. But a lot of the stuff that we were discussing that night had to do with this, and it also had to do with Al-Kindi and his beliefs too, because and you can see it in different things. It's like one of those popular, unpopular topics that you never really hear much about, or you never see much about when it comes to like outright calling it, you know, talking about it. But you can see it everywhere. You can see this idea that we're all connected from frickin' well, for me, I say that it all starts from the thalamus in the brain, and you channels that are inside of your brain that are climbing fibers, and they go up into the receptors of your brain, which transmits information. You know what I mean? And I go even further into it where I've done research on this stuff where it says that we are connected not only in our brain doing that function, but this function is also connected to the cosmos. And everything around us is created out of that. You know what I mean? Out of that
Funny
kind of...
enough, I was watching a documentary earlier on what in relation to Jainism and how the Jains view hell. We're not very sort of Jain-like or Jainistic sort of ideas and that.
We'll kind of get into that and kind of explain it so we get a better idea of
well, Jainism as a religion, it's all about being overly aware of your environment, being aware of everything, and everything's got a connection. Hence why you've got Jains that will protect all living creatures as much as possible.
Okay, so you're saying Gene, not Jane.
Jane.
Gene, that English accent, dude. You know,
Yeah.
you know. We ain't got Nancy here anymore. She's the only one that finds that adorable now. Yeah.
Probably busy tonight.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking too. I was like, man, I wish she'd come in here because she'd love this conversation.
Oh, even Jack would too.
Yeah.
Mm.
No.
Yeah, you know, I kind of go for that. If you ever seen like like they show pictures of space where like a whole solar system or universe explodes and divides, it looks very similar to when a cell from a living creature divides.
Right.
Very, very similar. It's almost identical in a way. So we're in a living universe where everything is connected somehow, some way.
Yeah.
Okay? You know, we can look at, like, you know, what we're standing on is like a wall of, you know, a cell wall for something else, you know, that, you know, we're just skirting upon the surface of.
Yep. Now, a lot of the more popular beliefs in this, they believe that there's nexuses everywhere. You know what I mean? And I personally feel that it's one nexus where all the information is transmitted to, and this is raw information that's like not created yet. You know what I'm saying? It's just raw energy, raw information that goes into this nexus. And it because of that raw information, it's transformed into something that's constructed. You know what I mean? Like, and that goes to like thoughts. It goes to freaking everything. You know, thoughts, ideas, freaking. It goes into what we dream, what we freaking see, the ground that we stand on, everything. You know what I mean? Pure data.
The Matrix.
And that's kind of what I take from it, from all the stuff that I've read. Now, I can't 100% say that I believe this stuff, but it's pretty hard to freaking, like, even scientifically disprove that this stuff couldn't actually be true. You know what I mean? It answers a lot of questions when it comes to the paranormal and the ufology and everything like that. You know what I mean? So it's something that I've found to be pretty interesting when it comes to these concepts. So I can read you the note that I have when it comes to the agent intellect, kind of give you guys an idea of what I'm talking about if you want to hear it. So you
Sure.
Okay, so The concept of agent intellect, also known as the active intelligence, is a significant philosophical idea that has appeared in the works of ancient and medieval philosophers. It refers to a divine or intellectual force that plays a critical role in human cognition, knowledge acquisition, and the interaction between the immaterial and material worlds. The idea has been developed primarily within the context of Aristotelian and Neoplatonic thought, with later interpretations by Islamic, Jewish, and Christian philosophers. The notion of the agent intellect can be traced back to the works of Aristotle, particularly in his De Anima, and that translated is On the Soul, where he discusses the nature of the soul and the intellect. Aristotle proposed a duality within the human soul: the passive intellect, which receives and stores knowledge, and the active or agent intellect, which is responsible for abstracting universal concepts from particular experiences. This agent intellect was seen as an essential force that enables the human mind to comprehend higher truths and abstract principles. While Aristotle's ideas influenced later thinkers, it was the Neoplatonists, especially Plotinus, who further developed the concept. In their metaphysical system, the agent intellect was a divine emanation that acted as an intermediary between the One, the ultimate source of all being, and the material world. The agent intellect in Neoplatonism was responsible for the ordering of the cosmos and the intellect's ability to grasp universal truths. The concept of the agent intellect was widely adopted and expanded upon during the medieval period, especially in Islamic, Jewish, and Christian philosophy. In the Islamic world, the agent intellect was central to the philosophical systems of thinkers like Avicenna and Averroes. For Avicenna, the agent intellect was a divine intellect that could assist the human soul in attaining knowledge. According to his view, the agent intellect illuminated the human mind, enabling it to grasp abstract concepts and gain knowledge of the intelligible realm. In Jewish thought, the philosopher Maimonides, I always have a hard time with his name, Maimonides, the philosopher Maimonides drew upon Aristotle's ideas and integrated them into his own work. He viewed the agent intellect as a necessary mediator between human understanding and the divine intellect. In this context, the agent intellect played a role in helping humans achieve intellectual perfection and understanding of divine truths. Similarly, Christian philosophers such as Thomas Aquinas borrowed and adapted Aristotle's theories of the active intellect. Aquinas viewed the agent intellect as a part of God's divine order, through which humans could come to know universal truths and understand the natural world. For Aquinas, the active intellect was essential for the proper functioning of the human mind in its quest for knowledge. At its core, the ancient intellect represents the process by which individuals are able to move beyond sensory perception and engage with abstract concepts and universal truths. It is often seen as an intellectual force that guides the soul towards higher understanding. The agent intellect helps to purified the mind, enabling it to engage with eternal and unchanging truths, whether in philosophy, science, or theology. In many ways, the agent intellect serves as a bridge between the material world and the higher intellectual realms, allowing human minds to access knowledge that would otherwise be beyond their grasp. Whether through divine illumination, intellectual abstractions, or intellectual mediation, the agent intellect is a crucial concept in understanding human cognition, knowledge acquisition, and the relationship between the material and immaterial worlds. The idea of the ancient intellect has had a lasting influence on subsequent philosophical and theological thought. It contributed to the development of ideas in epistemology, particularly regarding the nature of knowledge and the relationship between the senses and intellect. The concept also played a key role in discussions about the nature of the soul, the intellect, the divine interactions with the world. While the ancient intellect is not as prominent as modern philosophy, its legacy can still be seen in the development of theories of human cognition and in the search for higher understanding. The agent intellect remains an important concept in the history of philosophy, representing humanity's ongoing quest to understand the nature of reality and our place within it. And that took a lot. I think my throat's hurting because of that shit. Did that sound good?
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Okay.
makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, after reading all that, what's your guys' take on it? You didn't hear a word I said.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, you did. What's your take on all that?
Just talking about now the word. There was a phrase that came up that I was thinking about halfway through that. The old Deus Ex Machina concept, God and machine.
Yeah, you see that connection there, don't you? Now the human brain is what really stimulated me into freaking coming up with my ideas on this, because the human brain is like the ultimate freaking system, you know what I mean, that everybody wants to emulate when it comes to the computers and programming and stuff of that nature. If you listen to them all talk, it's all about trying to come up with that artificial intelligence, which I know you hate. You hate that term, artificial intelligence, but I mean that's traditionally what they're trying to go after. And you guys mentioned like the Matrix.
Are we talking about the brain or are we talking about the soul?
Well, that's the whole deal, though. Like the thing that's really the issue is the soul. You know what I mean? And this raw data. You know.
Yeah.
Like
very utilitarian look at what we are.
right.
Very socialist look at what we are.
Well, not really. If you stop and think about it, like Dr. Young.
Well, even Nancy says, and I agree with her, that all of us humans are actually biological computers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. So when we're born, our cells are pre-programmed to do like certain things. You know, like breathing, eating, wanting food, eating food, digesting, to the day-to-day things that we do. And then the thing is with a computer now, will it have free will? Right. And what is free will to a computer compared to us? All right. Now, that leaves some philosophical discussion, but sure, you can come up with decisions because you're going through computations, and of course your mind goes through computations too. But and there's a side of our brain that has where we can touch, feel, and sense, have all our senses that go in with it, where a computer at this point they don't have that, where they can select it to have certain seeing, certain grip capabilities, but does it really touch? Does it really feel? That would be the thing.
This goes back to our discussion that we had on Tech Talk ages ago about intelligence, emotional
and then you get into the difference too. Then you get into the difference too, and you go back in time, and I've talked about this too. The golem was an automaton. All right.
Right.
It was a robot basically, because it had set things that it was told to do, and it did, but it didn't have feelings. It didn't, sure, it could sense, or feel distance, and not feel, but recognize distance and things like that. But
now,
are we going for something like that these days? The new golem, the techno golem, or are we going to try to spiritually create one with clay, like the ancient Jewish magi's and all that did when they created these golems, and that was just one type of thing that was out there at the time that they talked about. I'm sure there were other cultures that had something similar. All right, it's just the one that's more well known.
Mm-hmm.
Now you also realize too what this gets into the conversation that me and Nancy were having, where it goes back to On the Soul by Aristotle. Okay, now he said that there was a duality within the soul. Okay, and the human soul, and there was a passive intellect, and then there was the active intellect. Okay, and we're talking about the active intellect, where we can actually be able to open up pathways that would allow us to see into abstract ideas and see the cosmos or the universe better. You know what I mean? But then,
but I still think that because of our senses, we will still be limited,
right,
with what we can because of the container that we're in.
Right. And, see, this goes into what we were talking about that night, about me saying that there's blocks, okay? And this would go into the passive intellect that I was just talking about, where it prevents you from actually comprehending things, because there's so much data that goes into what makes a stream freaking flow downstream. You know what I mean?
Right.
All that data is just too much for the human mind to comprehend. So that passive intellect is going to shut you down at this moment, because we're not prepared for that yet. You know what I mean? So my next question would be, we were talking about computers and we're talking about AIs and everything. Now, this also takes us into the realm of transhumanism. Okay? Mark's talking about computers not having that consciousness or that soul. What would happen then once we start incorporating artificial intelligence and computer technology into our bodies and we become transhuman?
We become the Borg.
And at that point only certain portions. I think that the portion of the part where it's soul wouldn't be able to grow anymore because it would be trapped in a container that is very restrictive.
Mm-hmm. But the container,
but like Brian says, okay, because he's talked about ETs and things like that, calling in actually it's Jack, where they call the ETs call us containers.
mm-hmm.
We're the containers of souls, and in these souls, and that I think our intellect in that is keeps going, but it's only able to do so much with the container that it's in at the time.
Mm-hmm. Now,
and that's for learning purposes. That's my belief.
Now, when we get into that too, though, you also got to think about like this data. We're not able to comprehend it, but like once we have this computer technology into our brains, we're going to be able to transmit data a lot faster. So, what happens there? You know what I mean? Where with our comprehension and being able to understand things at a faster rate, what's going to happen to us on that level? You know what I mean?
It's one thing to transfer data. It's another thing to read it, to comprehend it.
Well,
just because you can transfer data doesn't mean anybody's looking at it.
Right, because look at your computer. How much of the computer that you have going right now? All right,
mm-hmm.
Of the items that you have on there is stuff that you are using right now.
Well, for me, I use all of it.
All right. No, well, yeah, but you don't have all your programs open, so you're not or you would crash your computer probably if you had every single program open
mm-hmm.
at the same time. So you have to take into that into consideration as well.
So, like recalling the information would be another thing too. Like with this computer, I whenever I need that information, all I have to do is just tap into it, and bam, the information is right there.
Right, but even then, if you get a power surge or something, if you got that information and you transmitted it and it was transmitted back, all right, there's a chance it was corrupted.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's not a flawless system.
Right. Now,
and besides, we all use the internet, and we only look for what we are looking for. We don't get all the data on the internet transferred to our local machines.
Right.
Yeah.
It's it's like the old system of computing, where you're at the node. Sure, you have some pretty powerful stuff that you can use while you're at your mode that you have now compared to where you were at like 30 years ago. Where you just had the monitor and the keyboard that was hooked into the computer. Mini computer at one time was as big as a floor on a university. All right. In fact, that's how I started out. Learning about computers and that. Like, because it wasn't up until what, mid 80s, where individual computers were starting to come out for everybody.
Yeah, mid 70s. Yeah,
exactly. Now,
do you remember, just because the content's there doesn't mean you even need to access it, or you have any point of access in it.
And also remember what we're actually talking about too. We're talking about the agent intellect and the passive intellect. So you have the agent intellect, which is the the core, at the core, the agent intellect is the process by which individuals able to move beyond sensory perception, and they can engage with abstract concepts and universal truths, where that would be what you're talking about with the internet and having information available for you. But then you have the passive, okay, the passive intelligence, which is the part that tells you no, you're not ready for this, or no, you can't.
That's firewalls. Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I was.
And I mean, the parallels there are just insane. You know what I mean? And for me, what I'm starting to realize when I'm reading this stuff is like the human brain could possibly be able to do this stuff without any use of a computer whatsoever, if the philosophers are correct. If nothing else, we manifested these computers by freaking our thought process, which is also very, very logical. It's exactly the reason why we have these computers in the first place, is because we're actually emulating ourselves into the real world. You know what I mean? So, like I said, this whole thing, man, is just, it's interwoven to where freaking you can actually look at things and say, yeah, this makes sense. I do enjoy stories about the paranormal and ufology, but when I look at stuff like this, I can honestly say, look, man, it's a lot more than just space saucers flying through space. You know what I mean? Like, there's a whole lot of more things that are going on in the universe if these philosophies are true. Like, I wouldn't need a spaceship to travel to frickin' Alpha Centauri. I could just step on a frickin' cosmic weave and bam, I'd be there. You know what I mean? Travel through the nexus, and bam.
Well, I think part of that is because when we were created, all right, that was closed off to us until we're ready for it.
Right.
All right. It's not only a growth of the individual, but it's a growth of the complete species.
Right.
All right. And that, I don't believe in evolution, but I do know that over time, our bodies do physiological changes, and that's even apparent from when you are born to grow old. So that's where I sit with that.
Right, and I agree with it too. And the thing that really sticks out to me is, like, also remember, like, if I have this ability, then you have this ability, and we all have it, and we're all connected through this. You know what I mean? And like, you look at Dr. Jung, Carl Jung, who talked about the God conscience. Every religion, pretty much in today's world, says that we're all connected. Christians say that we're all children of God, we're brothers and sisters, things of that nature. So you've got that connection where we are connected in that sense. And like Carl Jung, he believed in the God conscience, where you could tap into this consciousness, where it's the collective consciousness of every human being there. You know what I mean? So that's the kind of stuff that really sticks out to me when I hear about this right here. So.
Yep, Jung and the Golden Dawn opened up a lot of things for a lot of beliefs and ways to do things.
And see, that's another thing too. Like, these, I'd also like to point out that these are, first of all, esoteric ideas, and the second thing of it is like a lot of the stuff that we're reading and talking about right now. This was forbidden knowledge at some point. Okay, Like, if we were born at a certain time period in the past, we would have been put to death for just even having this conversation. You know? So, just realize that that's the kind of conversation that's taking place for anybody who's watching or listening. These are forbidden. This is forbidden knowledge that people during certain time periods in history wasn't allowed to know. You know, so I think that's something that's needed to be mentioned too, which is a good point to bring out. I don't know if you guys agree with me or not, but
Yeah, yeah.
you know,
Yeah, theology, you know, wanted to have soul control, and you know, that's and when it wasn't theology, it was you know, that was the spiritual, and then the secular got involved. You know, your kings and queens and dictators and all those leaders and that. You know, they had a say in it too, uh, for the silencing of that.
yep. And
So
now, if you guys don't have anything else on that topic, I want to get into the stuff that I know Mark Edworthy is going to like, and this has to do with time. You guys want to?
oh, I thought you were going to talk about terms of service, but anyways.
Well, the only thing he likes better than terms of service, well, not better. The only thing he likes almost as much as the terms of service stuff is time. He loves time.
Okay.
Okay.
Um,
Here's the question about time. If the world stops spinning, will time keep going?
on a bit too scientific sort of principle on a yeah, because time is all about gravity, isn't it?
Mhm.
We share different. Maybe if you go to Venus, you will have a different sort of scale of time.
And if you're on Mars, you gain an hour or lose an hour, right?
Yeah.
So
Now,
eh,
I'm going to run to the restroom real quick. I don't want you guys to keep this conversation going because that coffee has caught up to me. I'll be right back.
I think he just ran out of coffee, and he has to make
Yeah.
a new pot. You know.
Yeah.
So here we are, Mark. Cats away, mice can play. Where do we run amok from here? But yeah, you know, and a lot of people don't understand that. You know, they think that time is only the measurement of when the sun goes up and down. You know,
Mm.
from where they're at. But
Mm.
no, time is a constant, no matter where you're at. It's just that how we measure it may be different where you're at,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I'm surprised. I'm really surprised that since there's clocks out there, that isn't considered like English Standard Time, and or whatever, and then we have some sort of metric time. Well,
as we see in whenever we arrange anybody in Skype arrange these sort of calls, people don't have
well, you
any
are the
idea
time
about
traveler here.
centralized time.
You are the time traveler here, right now,
Yeah.
because you are ahead of me and
Yeah.
Roger as well.
Well, I'm
Yeah,
5-6
in
hours in front of you.
time, but we are speaking across time. But are we? Is that truly a thing that we're speaking through or against? Or is it just a perception?
Time itself is it's a perception. I mean, most sane people in the UK would perceive this as being nighttime and be asleep, but
Yeah.
I'm still
Well,
here.
it's it's nighttime here too. It's a little after 8, all right, but and it's dark here, but the difference is it's the day before, not the day, you know.
Yeah, precisely. It's 2:15 here in the
Yeah.
morning.
No, I'm back. I was able to get coffee because you guys had to
Sure.
mention it as I was leaving.
I could have started a whole new pot by the time you did that. All right.
Well, I mean, it was already brewed. I just had to reach in there
Yeah.
and grab it. And
Okay.
I went to the bathroom first, came back, and then said, you know what? They're right. I need to get coffee. So,
Well,
but
I'm out of coffee now too, and I need to hit the restroom. So
head to the bathroom.
Mark will fill you into everything that we talked about perception and time, and you know how Mark may be a time traveler, or it's just the perception of what we see.
Well, it was interesting that you brought that up because this next thing that I want to bring up is about Neoplatonism in the Great Year. So,
Okay.
are you two even aware of what that is?
I saw it. I saw it. You messaged, but nope.
Okay, no.
Wait here.
Now, this thing about perception and stuff, what exactly was you guys talking about before we get into that? Because that's...
We were talking about the different time zones and how we perceive time, and the entire concept of time being relative to where you are.
Right.
Well,
No, with the whole thing on that, well, it might fit into this, but I really wanted to stay away from time zones because, like, you've like driven me crazy when it comes
cool.
to you're all happy about it. He's like, I've done my job. I have done my job. But this all rotates within the whole thing about the Great Year. Like you've heard of zodiacs, right? The zodiacal thing with astrology.
Astrology, yeah.
Now, and everybody knows about time being a part of the calendar system, and the calendar system was set up for originally, supposedly, for harvesting the harvest season, so that you know when the best time would be to grow crops and things of that nature. And then astrology, or I might have it. Yeah, it's astrology that was the one where it was divination and astrology and all of that stuff came along. But eventually what happened was it became what they called the Great Year, and Neoplatonism was the group that was really strongly responsible for that. Like, have you ever heard of Plotinus? Okay. No. Now, before we get started, and I mentioned Neoplatonism, let me let you and everybody who's listening understanding Neoplatonism has nothing to do with Plato. Okay, Plato, his philosophies were a long time before these guys. Neoplatonism comes from a guy whose name was Plotinus, and this is his philosophies, as well as starting out with what we were talking about with Al-Kindi. Oh, excuse me, that was that coffee kicking in. So before I was discussing Al-Kindi, and I mentioned Platonism. So I wanted to kind of go into this aspect about what the Great Year was. So that's kind of a breakdown of everything. Now, Mark, are you still back? Or are you back yet?
I'm kind of back.
Okay. He's drinking his coffee
Yeah, and I got a turkey leg.
Oh yeah. See. Now, have you ever heard of Neoplatonism? in the great
Nope.
year? Huh?
No.
Okay, so cool. I can break you in. I'm popping your cherries. You guys are getting Neoplatonized.
Right.
This is a great year for you, baby. Great.
Okay,
year.
this is all plutonic, right?
Yeah, this is all platonic. That's right. Okay,
I don't
so
swing the other way, all right?
you'll be all swinging Neoplatonism when I'm done with you, baby. When I'm done with you. Okay, so.
Oh God. Okay.
That was a little embarrassing. I won't do that again. I won't do that again. I apologize. That was horrible. But
I'm glad you're doing it on your time.
I can't believe I just said that shit out loud on stream. Even that's kind of embarrassing.
Jeez.
But let me get back to my notes. Okay, so Neoplatonism in the Great Year. Neoplatonism, a philosophical system that emerged in the 3rd century CE, was developed by the philosopher Plotinus and later expanded by thinkers such as Porphyry. Porphyry is, and I always screw these names up so that you guys know. So don't, if it's the wrong name, then don't worry about it, because that's the kind of shit I do. I screw names up when it comes to Greeks and Middle East and Phoenician and all that. So, but anyhow, it was later expanded on by thinkers like Porphyry, Lambetus, and Proclus. Now, this school of thought is rooted in the teaching of Plato, but incorporated mystical and metaphysical elements that explore the nature of reality, the divine, and the relationship between the one, the ultimate source of all existence in the material world. One of the intriguing aspects of Neoplatonism is its concept of cyclical time, particularly as it relates to the notion of the Great Year, also known as the world soul's cycle. Just so you guys know, the world soul's cycle. In Platonic thought, time is not linear but cyclical. This view contrasts with the linear concept of time found in much of Western philosophy and religion, particularly in Judeo-Christian thought, where time is seen as a one-way progression from creation to an eventual end. Neoplatonists, however, believed that time flows in a perpetual cycle of cosmic renewal, influenced by the movements of the stars, the planets, and the divine will. At the center of the cyclical view of time is the idea of the Great Year. This concept suggests that the entire cosmos goes through a vast cycle with periods of creation, destruction, and renewal. The Great Year is often associated with the motion of the heavens, and its duration is said to be linked to the time it takes for the celestial bodies to complete a full cycle, usually involving a span of thousands or even millions of years. It is believed that the Great Year encompasses the rise and fall of civilizations, the unfolding of natural and cosmic events, and the return of the cosmos to its original state of unity with the divine. A key aspect of Neoplatonism is the idea of the world soul, which is a divine intellect or force that governs the cosmos. The world soul is believed to emanate from the One, the ineffable, source of all existence, then acts as an intermediary between the divine and the material world. It is through the world soul that the one's will is realized, and it is the world soul that organizes the cosmos into its cyclical patterns. According to Neoplatonic cosmology, the world soul exists in a continuous cycle of creation, sustenance, and eventually dissolution. The great year is seen as the time it takes for the world soul to complete its journey, moving through different phases of cosmic existence. During this cycle, the world soul's influence extends to all living things, shaping their fates and guiding the movement of the stars and planets. One of the most fascinating aspects of the great year in Neoplatonism is its association with cosmic rebirth. The cycle of time is not just a process of decay and destruction, but also a process of renewal and recreation. At the end of each great year, it is believed that the cosmos will return to a state of perfect unity before beginning a new cycle. This cyclical pattern reflects the Neoplatonic belief in the eternal return of the divine, where everything ultimately returns to the one. Okay, now, in this context, the great year can be viewed as a metaphor for spiritual evolution. Just as the cosmos undergoes cycles of birth, death, and rebirth, individual souls are believed to follow a similar path. Souls, according to Neoplatonism, undergo a process of purification and ascent towards the divine, ultimately striving to reunite with the One. The great year thus serves as a grand cosmos backdrop to the individual soul's journey, with both reflecting the eternal nature of the divine. The concept of the great year in cyclical time has influenced many other philosophical, religious, and esoteric traditions. In particularly ancient cultures such as Greek, Egyptian, and Hindus also had cyclical views of time, seeing the rise and fall of civilizations and the cosmos as part of an ongoing cycle. The concept of the great year in Neoplatonism closely parallels these ancient views, which often emphasizes the interconnectedness of time, the cosmos, and the divine. In the Renaissance, philosophers and esoteric thinkers were greatly influenced by Neoplatonic ideas, including the notion of the great year. Figures such as Marsilio Ficino and Giovanni Pico della Mirandola were drawn to the Neoplatonic understanding of time and the world soul, seeing it as a means of understanding both the natural world and the divine. These ideas also resurfaced in later occult traditions, such as Hermeticism and alchemy, where the cyclical nature of time and the eternal return of the divine played a central role. And right there, when it talks about the alchemist, when it comes to renewal and purification and all of this, that is really, really important when it comes to alchemy. That much I do know. I really do want to get more into the whole alchemy aspect of everything, but that's the one thing that really does stick out to me when it comes to that. I'd also like to note too that when it comes to the rotation of the earth, it rotates on a wobble, And that wobble is also considered to be the great year as well. They've been debating on how long that actually takes for the Earth to create that wobble once as it travels around the solar system. So that's also an aspect of it.
I thought the 2,500 years was the
Yeah.
was
Something like that, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well,
was the complete year.
Well, that was actually what they believe it is now, but the whole story behind that is pretty fascinating. Like, there were at least 5 or 6 people who, in history, who made their ideas of what the Great Year actually was, and they were way off. You know, like Aristotle was just an idiot. I mean,
And then if you think about it, okay, 2,500 years for us, to do that. Now, how many thousands or millennia will it take for us to go the complete way around the Milky Way?
right.
Okay.
And see, all of this has to do with this
Because
great year.
it's all connected. It's all connected.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And we're trying to nail down time. And the vortex of this galaxy from rotation and how it lines up with others, and we don't know if the galaxies actually rotate something else. All the galaxies may also rotate around something else.
Right.
So,
26
what was that?
I just
the
heard.
galactic years.
Oh, Sonya's here. Hey, look at this woman.
Hi, Sonia.
Oh, beautiful.
Hi.
I'm glad you
Oh,
showed
thank
up.
Yeah.
You showed up just at the right time. Was you listening in?
I heard there was I could get neoplasticized here or something like that.
Neoplatonized, baby.
Playtime. Yeah. That
Neo.
was the word on the street, so I figured I'd come in. There's not many others offering this sort of thing, so.
Yeah, I know. Well, I know I don't have to pop your cherry. You've already been platonized. Neoplatonized.
Right. A little bit. Just a little bit.
These two are virgins. They're getting the royal treatment. I'm stroking them real good.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Going on? Yeah, I do that a lot in tattooing.
Got
The virgin eye.
break that skin. They now they are just now familiar with this whole great year and everything, and I read all that out. Was you able to hear all of it?
Most of it, yeah.
So with everything
Yeah,
I said, what extra do you want to add to that? Because also realize this also has to do with the zodiac as well. So when we're talking about the great year, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, the great years when it comes back full circle in the zodiac, apparently, like at the ages, right?
Right.
Yeah, that 26,000 years, or is it the 2,500 years?
Now that is something that I was talking.
25 to 26,000 years or something.
Yeah.
Years. It's
Like the
25 to
2,500
26. Somewhere in there.
Each is 2,000 years? No, that's not it. How
2,500
long does each stay in there?
is what the Anunnaki were, and Nibiru and all that.
Well, I mean, it's like even philosophers and scientists keep record of what the great year would be. You know what I mean? So it's not just like the Anunnaki or anybody. Well, even like Neoplatonists, but like actual like
And wisdom teaching.
Yeah.
There's a whole couple. Very interesting stuff.
Now, I would do a Google search and everything, but I'm like kind of having to stay on this so that my video looks cool whenever it's being streamed out to all those cool people out there in the world, because they can see the notes and everything that I got on there.
Right.
I could probably switch it back to you guys so that I can get your guys' face on there.
Mark's.
There's Mark.
Hi, Mark's.
Hi. Hi.
Hi.
But
I'm no see Mark.
Mark and Mark.
Whoa, just sack. Whoa, just see sack. Whoa, just
yeah,
sack.
it's-
You're Mark number 2.
I should just put up there Dragus Productions and be done with it.
that doesn't
Right?
doesn't help at all.
Yeah.
Because everybody still wants
And
to call you Mark Wojciech.
No, they don't
Like
want to
fire.
call me that. only you do.
Yeah, like Wojciech and shit. Oh. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and I'm going to type in what is how many years is in the great year? How many years?
I think it's all of them, 26,000, but I, I'm not sure.
I think you are. Yeah.
100 or close to that anyway.
2,000 or 25,800 years.
Yeah, there you go. That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if,
that's what Zodiac.
if we would have had Brian singing with us tonight, he would have been like, "No, it's this."
Now, with the Anunnaki.
Great.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Sonia.
I'll do a little. Look what I got. Let me show you. Hold on.
Oh, she's gonna show off.
Yeah, I'm gonna show off, bro.
Oh no, she's got the guitar. Jeffy got you
It's a
inspired.
bass.
It's a bass?
Well, he started it, I think. Well, I've always been that way. I always liked music, but actually, my son, my 20-year-old, actually, I didn't bring him up, so we're like buddies. You know, it's hard to be buddies with your kid if you bring him up, so it's a little different. But he plays guitar, and so I was like, well, guitar is very difficult, so I figured I would just try bass at first. And so far, so good. I just got it like yesterday, so it's just now tuned. So, and I really have no idea what I'm doing yet, but I'm really excited about it, so I wanted to share it with you guys.
That's pretty cool.
Oh, I got one I got one similar. I have an Ibanez acoustic bass.
Yeah, I got an acoustic bass, but I called it a generico because it's super generic, like China special kind of thing. But what do you get else for your first bass? It's like a beater,
Yeah.
No,
Well, you can get
it wasn't first base, but
you can get a Yamaha.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was like
that-
$60.
Yamaha or a Pive
Yeah.
if you're going to get an electric.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, well, this is like you can put electric into it too. It's one of those, versatile one. Yeah, I'm
That's
just
what
learning,
mine
so
is, too. Yep,
that's what.
that's how mine is too. It's a acoustic electric.
Yeah, I don't even know if they have like regular acoustic basses altogether.
Yeah,
I mean,
well,
I think they're all
they call it a bass fiddle.
fiddle. Yeah.
Yeah,
Ukulele type kind of thing, almost. Yeah, this is much bigger though. Anyhow,
Okay, so does anybody have anything that they want to discuss when it comes to the great year? Because this is actually leading into the next thing that I wanted to discuss when it comes to music, because especially when it comes to esoteric music. And
you have to bring up that all that came up and was really brought to the forefront because of the Mayan and Aztec calendars.
Exactly.
Okay, in the year 2000. All right.
at least to the eye.
To the public.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
And most folks didn't and don't understand that or have forgotten about it since all that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we're so worried, nothing's going to work, everything won't work
Yep.
after 2000.
Yeah.
Wrong answer.
No,
Fun.
I wanna.
I still. You guys should.
I wanna take a jab at Mark real quick, because I wanna hear freaking this whole thing about time being cyclical. And what's your take on that? Because I know you're bilinear. You're linear.
Bilinear. In what sense?
Well, linear is time linear or is it secular?
Yeah.
Is time
Time is what you make of it. I don't know. As an example, you can be sitting around and for an hour and thinking that you've spent half a day doing something, or you could be sitting around for an hour and thinking that only 5 minutes have gone.
So it'd be a perception.
Yeah.
So that would make my argument even stronger when it comes to this cosmic weave and the philosophies behind it, because it all starts within the brain and it works its way outward.
Right. That makes cyclical for sure.
Mm-hmm.
It's just perceived as linear because we're here in these avatars.
See, you're getting into the avatar thing, okay? Now,
Well, how would we?
Now,
Unless it was
which timeline are we going to go with today?
yeah.
Because
Right. Exactly.
so that once there's a way to split, and then there's other dimensions that run right along with us. So, and that's been proven. How does time work there? And does it affect the time here?
Exactly.
Sure. Why wouldn't it? If
No.
it's interwoven like that,
Right.
it only could, right?
Because we're all connected, you see. So where our reality is actually being changed, it's affecting the way reality in these other dimensions are being changed as well. Because
Sure.
it's all connected.
Right. It's like we're all on the gigantic carnival ride, and like part of the wheel around the Ferris wheel or whatever is like getting like crazy and everybody's screaming, and the other part we're not, but we're like, wait, something's going on over there. I don't know what it is, but the ones that are on the peaceful ride with the candy and lollipops and popcorn, having a romantic date and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
While the other side of the Ferris wheel is like, wow, what the fuck is going on, kind of thing. Or, it's like a ever-ending momentum in every direction, really, if you ask me. For sure.
We were actually having a conversation on that too when it come to what was it? I forgot the damn freaking topic, but we were talking about Greek mythology or Greek philosophy before Neoplatonism, and it was about the agent intellect, is what it was. Have you ever heard of the agent intellect?
No, I don't think so.
No,
What's that?
you have the passive intellect, and then you have the agent intellect. And the agent intellect is what enables us to be able to comprehend abstract concepts and things that are unseen. All right, where the passive,
Right brain type of stuff.
Right. And then you have the passive intellect, which is the part of your intellect that that basically shuts you down because you're not at that point where you can comprehend it. You know what I mean?
Right. That's interesting. Yeah. So that's more like mental stuff, or
philosophical theory.
What is philosophical theory, really?
Well,
Come on.
we've been talking about it. It's a combination of divination, ancient practices, ancient philosophies, ancient beliefs that's culminated into what we call philosophy today. And I think people who are intellectuals have a hard time understanding that. They don't like the idea that freaking their intellect, their high-minded ways of thinking is nothing more than a bunch of pagan witch doctors who practiced divination and masturbated at the shores of the frickin' Euphrates.
Why is it got to be all like that?
Well, I'm
saying.
just saying, you know, it makes him feel less than to.
Well, come on now. He didn't bring up Satan.
That's true.
No, I guess so, but still, you know, kind of is in the same wheelhouse kind of area, maybe a little bit.
Well, I mean,
Mark, number 2, you look like you're super busy right there with your vid, man.
yeah.
Like with your avatar vid going on. It's like, wow, what is he like? He's producing something. What's he doing? I don't know. Is it a DJ thing? Is it like a movie? I don't know.
Nope. That's you'll never see my face because I don't do cameras.
I think I've seen your face before.
No,
you did.
not yet. Wait,
Oh.
You have dark hair?
we might.
Not here.
Dark hair, right? Or no?
No.
Am I completely?
I don't know if we've seen him before on purpose or accident. We could have seen him on accident.
Yeah.
I doubt if it was accident.
Yeah.
I think you have dark hair. I just picture you
Nope.
having dark hair.
Nope. You're definitely wrong. I'm as bold. I'm as
You're wrong.
as you get. In fact, if I had a camera on right now and the light was shining on, you wouldn't be able to see me anyways because you would all be blinded. And I do that on purpose. If it wouldn't be flat or by the huge glasses that I wear, all right, the reflection would just show my
Now, he
my
could.
monster in front of me. That's it. All right. I don't do ever.
I'm way off this.
You've got to be careful. He could be just like rubbing you the
Bullshitting.
wrong way. Yeah, because like freaking, I mean, a bald-headed dude with glasses and just so unattractive. You know. Come on, this
I've
is
known
Mark.
many very guys with glasses.
I would believe that with anybody else but this man right here. Okay, trust me. Trust me.
Well, you know him a lot better than I do. So,
He is something else, man. He is something else. Now he
Definitely something
might
else. Like-
he might be like bald headed. Don't get me wrong, but I wouldn't go like he's just so horribly freaking. I don't believe him. Just saying, Mark. Just saying.
Oh, come on.
Okay.
I bring a special kind of element, I think, to the whole conversation.
I think we
Mark
slid
was
off the
best.
topic there, Roger.
Yeah.
Start talking, me and Mark did.
Now,
Late into the night, in the morning.
now,
Many a times.
now,
Many times.
now that we've covered the great year, the one thing that I do want to actually get into is the whole thing about, well, we've covered the cyclical view of time, and
Better get
that
out here.
now
Gonna get it.
we've got. Do you want to say anything about the world soul? Have you ever heard of that term?
I have not.
Okay, so
You're talking-
I'm
No.
I'm fine with.
Is there a balloon or condom that size?
The whole thing about the condom, if you want to get into that whole topic, you got to go listen to David Icke. He'll explain.
Oh, okay.
He'll explain the word condom to you all the way.
Dave, bro, but I
Yeah.
haven't heard the whole thing. Old soul. No, I haven't heard it.
Well, he thinks that we live in a holographic world where we're being fooled into believing certain ideas and everything. And at one time, I believe he believed that the moon was a satellite that was emitting this holograph.
Sure.
And
Yeah, our perception is being distorted by all these frequencies.
right.
One from the moon, the other part's connected to Saturn and things like that.
And this kind of goes into Alex Jones' old ideas of the prison planet, where we, like, aliens don't want us to leave because we're actually a prison planet.
No, there's a soul trap going on, so they just recycle people. Like when you die, it's not even like It's not even like a real thing. It's still in the matrix, I guess you could say, of illusion. To where even though like if you've ever been out on the astral, any of you, I'm sure you can create whatever you want to. That's how it works. It's like instant creation. And it's supposed to be that way here, and it does work that way here, but it's a lot slower and more convoluted and more constricted by outside interference, I guess you could say. But ultimately, when you go into that area too, it's still because everybody sees like what they believe in. Like, I believe in Jesus, so I see Jesus when I die, right? Or I see Buddha, or whatever the religion is, or what. Basically, you're creating it, but not just you're creating it. Because they have way mass technology that we don't even have any like fathom of, really. And so they're like, oh, this chick, she likes Buddha, so we're gonna, when she kicks it or crosses over, whatever you want to call it, then we're gonna come up to her as Buddha, and we're gonna work with her to get her to go back into another life, because it's a machine, and it's harvesting energy. Ultimately, is what they do, and it's like it's a myriad of different ways that's energy harvesting. But these souls, they don't know they can like take off and go somewhere. They think, oh, I'm dying. Here's my grandma. Here's my grandpa, because they can pretend to be anybody they want or anything they want to present to you. And then it's just so easy to manipulate humans from that perspective. Geez. So then it just continues, and then you get born again, and you're like, oh, I gotta go like be better this time, which, I go back and forth on this a lot, because I'm like, well, it can't just be, because the people who say that it's an energy harvesting machine, like it's a soul trap and all that, those folks, they totally don't, at least the ones I've seen, they don't recognize or give any credence to like learning, like it being a school, because there's that whole section that says, oh, this is a school, we come to learn, we learn these things and things like that, and that's why we come here, to like evolve as a spirit. So there's that section too. So, and I'm like, well, isn't it both, really? Because I know I've learned some things and been like, there's no way that the things I've experienced and learned and like had recognition of it being sort of a test or lesson or learning experience overall, that can be negated so much, because it is. I figure I was pretty smart when I got in, because where I came from was a place of like niceness. People were nice to each other. It was like whole community thing that wasn't like weird like it is here, where it's like, oh, we're gonna kill you every second we get, kind of thing, which is completely unfamiliar to me. But I just see, so it's like, obviously there's things I didn't know about until I came here, because I'm learning them. And how could I have this whole like epiphany type of learning aha moment about things if I wasn't actually learning something?
Right.
And that's my real reflection of what's happening. So it can't just be a soul trap. I think maybe it might have been like coerced at some point, or taken over at some point by maybe others, or energies with more technology, or beings with more technology, or whatever, that decided that that's what they wanted to do, because there is actual energy harvesting going on. And I'm sure you guys know, or have witnessed in your life, like the way that people just flip. They just completely flip, and then they work on this like narrative that has nothing to really do with the situation, or at least what the conversation was about, or what you guys were talking about, or whatever. And they come in and go out. It's in it. There's so much programming going on with people. It's just crazy here. This is the craziest, most exciting place to ever like incarnate at, for sure. I mean, if you can get through Earth, you could get through like a lot of planets, or whatever you want to call that whole polar deal, because this place is fucking nuts, dude.
What do you think of walk-ins?
Walk-ins? I've gotten a lot clearer picture about walk-ins recently. Walk-ins, from what I first knew, because that's kind of a difficult, for me at least, a difficult subject to get your mind around. Walk-ins, how does that happen, Because if you're you, then aren't you going to be you later, or whatever? I think from what I'm seeing, it's an integration of different perspectives, or souls, however you want to call that. that have made some sort of agreement, and I don't even like the word contract because that's so like cabal, but it's something like it's an agreement to where, because one's like has other things they need to do, and it brings in like, well, do you really incarnate not knowing if this is what you want to do? Because you know how they say in the whole lesson, side of things, it's like you make all these lessons in your life before you even incarnate. So you want to like accomplish these goals and things like that. And then you go in not remembering anything, got to remember the mind wipe thing going on, right? Too, which is weird. There's another weird thing in there to where if that's the case, then, I don't even, the walk-in, I think is just traded the place to they have something to do here to show, or it's like a starseed type of thing. That might be a weird concept for a lot of folks, but
how about crystal kids?
Crystal children. Those are.
I consider myself a type of crystal kid.
Are you?
Yeah.
Yeah, you must be a little bit younger. I'm first wave. Indigo first wave.
Yeah.
Crystal children they're the second wave, or they're the younger ones.
Well, I'm speaking in general. There's many different types of them.
Right.
Well, sure. As with everything, yeah. But yeah, so I'm old school indigo is what I am. I'm like one of those DGAF chicks kind of thing almost. Like a lot of the hippies back in the day kind of thing. Even though,
I don't get along with any of that.
He doesn't get along with any of that. He heard the word hippie and that was it.
Yeah.
He's not a Canadian. He's not cool with that kind of shit.
I know you're intelligent enough to know that to step aside from the stereotype of hippie to like know that I'm talking about that genre, that generation that came with all that unique perspective that they had, to where they had a completely different way of looking at things.
I feel no attachment to that at all. In fact, the generation to me before that is more of an attachment.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah.
What do you?
Well, before like the freedom and liberation movement that they had, and with the hippie lifestyle and all that, I was more. I lean extreme conservatism, when it comes to that,
So now that you guys have finally like discussed hippies and stuff, let's get back to like the cool stuff, man. Like
cool stuff.
Okay, now what you were talking about right there, all that. All right, this is kind of what I was talking about earlier when it comes to these philosophers, okay? And they were actually talking about the same topics. Now, when it comes to being a trap, okay, what they say makes more sense to me when it comes to the way these things are working, okay? Because what it basically is you have these freaking you have these nexuses that are supposed to be set up. I believe that it's actually one nexus, and all of this raw data is being freaking gathered by these entities that are collecting this raw data, and it's taking it to this nexus, and this nexus is creating information. It's creating all the information around us, which is everything in nature. It's and the thing about it is it's like when you talk about people who are consciousnesses or anything that are new, that are introduced into the environment, that would be this raw data that would be introduced that was never introduced before. Now everything that is destroyed is also freaking processed within this nexus. So nothing really is destroyed, it's just created into something new.
It's regenerated, yeah.
Right. You see, so that's according to this philosophy, and I like to call it the climbing fibers, which would relate to the fibers within your brain that climb up to your thalamus, and it transmits information into your mind. Okay, and I really, yeah, the thalamus, and
isn't that like your heart area?
Mhm.
Thalamus?
and it really, a lot of it really has to do with equilibrium. Now, equilibrium isn't just something that goes on within your brain. There's an equilibrium to everything. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Feminine, masculine balance, at least here.
Right. Balance and duality.
But
you know,
duality.
And a lot of
Duality.
Yeah, and see, that's a lot of the stuff that people who are like into the spiritual stuff has a hard time with wanting to cope with, because you'll hear a lot of people who talk about spiritual beliefs, and even some people who are into religious beliefs, that they have a hard time with the whole thing about dualism and duality. Now, I have a problem with dualism because I know the difference between it and duality. But duality has to do with a lot of things when it comes to responsibility. You know what I mean? When it comes to being able to do things in repetition and create positive habits and be a better person and stuff of that nature.
I'm quite like extensively. Yeah,
So,
one of my t-shirts is duality, not duality.
yeah. Now dualism is usually two opposites in conflict with one another, whereas duality is two opposites that conform with one another. And,
Well, yeah, apparently.
you know,
Apparently, to a certain extent, that's all like bubbling over from my perspective, because duality, or at least duality thinking, like having that, because there's been, after I had like that oneness thing, and then like go to have a conversation with somebody and they are like, I'm talking about stuff that's like transcends duality. There's no duality. It's not whether it's right or wrong. There's more things than just right or wrong. So I ran up against many different folks who have the right or wrong, and they could not like transcend that. They couldn't get past the right or wrong thing. It just, to me, it appeared to be super programming, which I think is kind of what happens in this particular expression of spirit in the third dimension, or whatever you want to call it.
You see, with duality, there's no conflict. You see what I mean? There is absolutely no now dualism has conflict. So like whenever you have right or wrong, and you have to differentiate between the two, that's a dualism. That's, you're either right or you're wrong. You see what I mean? So there's a conflict there, where duality has to do with there's life, there's death. Okay, they don't actually conflict with one another; they complement one another. Now,
right.
What happens in between, what happens in between, that's not duality, but life itself and death itself.
Exactly. Maybe that's where I was focused at the whole time.
So
in my experience with duality or whatever,
it's like
that's what I.
Now with me, it's like that's what I believe. I believe like it's the raw material or the raw data that's being introduced into this nexus, and it's being created and manifested into the real world. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it comes through the ethers, kind of like my t-shirts.
Right.
Yeah, or anything that's created, anything that's here has come through the ether, through like us. We built it. It has to be in the mental area first, spiritual first, because this is just like a reflection of that, like a time-lagged reflection of the spiritual, Well,
mine goes even deeper than that, though, because like even the stuff of the mind is created in this nexus. Every thought, when you dream, the dreams that you have, they're created within the nexus as well. You see.
Yeah, you got to take into account though the technology that's being used. I would say against people, not to their benefit, that invades their dreams and things. So it's not like a natural process so much as people think it is,
right,
because of the interference coming in. So.
Right, and me and the Marks. That's what I'm going to start saying. The cool.
Yeah.
We have the Marks.
The Marks. That's right, dude. right there with you on that.
We were having a conversation about this that it had to do with transhumanism.
Oh yeah.
Okay, and like, does this really have to do with the soul or not? You know what I mean? Is it just raw data that's being transferred from this nexus that's doing this, or what's the deal with that in the soul? You know what I mean?
Well, if you ask me, that the soul cannot be transferred so much, and if I'm sure that has happened, and there's a smidge of it lost, hence soul retrieval. However, that technology cannot adapt to the soul. It's not fit. It's just not able to, like in the very core of things, it cannot adapt to the soul. So if then that to me would say that well, basically it's just the soul's being blocked off, and the person, which is the soul, is a personality a soul? I mean, that should be like looked at. And I think to a certain extent, of course it is. I mean, what other than, because when I went like out on the astral, I'm still like me. I don't lose myself, even though my body and my brain isn't with me so much. And maybe it's just I'm still connected to that, like with the silver cord thing, like I still have access to my brain or something. But I don't think so. I think your perspective isn't your brain. Your brain just is like the interface of your soul into this place, kind of thing, like, like, and that's what's being hacked. And then I think with the transhumanism thing, that's coming in, or obviously engineered to like cut people off from the soul, because we're connected to source. All of us are. It's another T-shirt I have. The force, source is the force. So and these folks that are doing all this, the ones in charge of all this, do not have access to source. They're just sourceless. Let's put it that way. Mm-hmm. And they have to have. That's why they do energy harvesting, because they have to have that to like be alive, to exist even. And there's so many folks that, I mean, you can get loosh off of anything, really. I mean, loosh can come from like, oh, I hate your shoes, or just anything stupid even, or that we would perceive as being stupid. So, I forget my point. It's all a big bowl.
It sounded good, so yeah, it was all right. No.
It's all real. It's real stuff. I'm really interested, though, to ask Mark something whenever.
Go ahead. Go for it.
Will allow me.
Go for it. He needs.
Oh, sweet. Awesome. You're an awesome host. You know that?
Yeah.
Okay, so.
Tell Jaffe that so that he understands.
Mark number 2, that is. Mark number 1. But Mark number 2, I'm curious as to what is your take on walk-ins?
I think that a walk-in happens when there's an alignment that's doing 2 different lessons at the same time, and there's an agreement to switch to go to the other side.
Okay.
And it happens with a flash.
Oh, and a flash even.
Yeah.
And then the person.
It's happened to me. That's.
Oh, are you a walk-in?
Yeah. Yeah.
You are?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that is so cool. Wow. Oh
it's
my
not
God.
something that I talk about forever, but
obviously.
We're on the topic tonight, and I figured, hey.
Hey, that's the best time to talk about it. You know what I mean? Don't get
Would you care to tell more about your walk-in thing?
It happened when I was about 7 or 8 years old.
Oh wow, that young.
And I was just kind of riding my big wheel around, and I was like, I really don't want to be here, and I felt
you had wheel?
that I didn't really want to be there, and I'm like, I want to trade, yeah, and it happened.
You had a big wheel, dude.
Yep.
So awesome. I didn't have a big wheel.
I had many big wheels. It happened around when I was about 7 or 8 years old.
Yeah, that's very interesting. So you are still you, right?
Yeah.
Or are you not you? Yeah.
And they are still me too. It's
Right.
just in a different timeline.
Oh, so it's like a different timeline. So
That's how I look at it. Different timeline
right.
that just happened to just line up at.
Wow. So it's like
Boom.
intersection. Yeah, like an alignment intersection with the different lines. Wow. Okay, so let me ask you this. Is do you think this has anything, I don't know, like how you think about higher selves or things like that, but there's a concept of higher selves, and like they're like our guides almost, like we're just like little puppets down here of our higher selves kind of thing. So how does that work with that? Was it like the higher self coming in, or do you not even like
It's
prescribe
like it's just a soul transfer, and with that, all the information that the other side had is now gained by the one transferring in.
Okay. So where do you think the other part of you went, where is
It's in a different timeline.
a different timeline? Do you have
Yeah.
access to it all? Like, can you check it?
I feel there's times that when I'm out and about or doing things that I still connect to that from time to time.
Fascinating.
And that certain things also with that have made me think that, I could have been in a fatal accident here, but on that other timeline, it may have happened.
Okay. So there is that perception coming in of the other.
I have that perception with it.
Wow.
And-
That's
And with that, it's probably why I have had so many different type of different encounters throughout my life. From missing time
okay.
to cryptid encounters.
I've had a couple
Yeah.
of cryptid encounters.
Chupacabra encounter in Panama. All right.
Wow. Yeah. That's
All right. And I'm not talking about the dog. I'm talking about the gargoyle.
Well, yeah. Chupacabra's not a dog. That's just like a.
And then, it's chupacabra is an all-encompassing word that means bloodsucker,
Totally.
goat sucker or something like that. But anyways,
So
that-
you're saying you're saying you're a goat sucker, dude?
Oh.
no.
I just wanted to clear that up.
I had an encounter before Operation Just Cause,
Okay.
which was when we invaded Panama,
Okay.
where my wife and I at the time were in an apartment, and this thing came into the apartment complex, raised a lot of hell, and tore up the roof where we were at. We were up on the roof. Think of an apartment complex that has all the apartments that go on the outside, and on the inside of it, there's a patio. And it's an open air patio, but there's barred windows all around it, even on like the second and third floor of this place. And there's good reason for that, we found out, because apparently it probably happened before in that area.
Right.
So,
Wow. So.
and so that happened to me. I've had all sorts of strange encounters when I was in Greece,
Can I ask you, how is it that cryptids are able to, in your, opinion or viewpoint, that they're able to like bust in here in this 3D and say, hey.
No, I don't believe that it's a busting in thing.
Yeah.
No.
No.
Oh.
I believe a lot of the cryptids that we have here right now are throwbacks from ancient species to species that we've manipulated. Since there have been genetic manipulations since World War II
Sure.
or before.
Yeah.
And if you even look at the record, genetic manipulation goes back all the way into ancient India history. All right.
They-
So
Why here is genetic.
So I think a lot of that, where you have like chimeras of different things and different animals, a lot of even though we haven't found remains of them, or have we?
Well,
Yeah.
So
True.
it doesn't mean that they didn't exist, like Medusas and the Minotaur, and even in ancient Greece, one of the kings was cursed to be a wolf because he had a taste for human flesh,
ew.
and Zeus cursed him. So,
High five.
so talk about and if that isn't genetic manipulation, then tell me what is.
Right. Right.
Uh,
So I got to share my cryptid story real quick because it's super interesting. And where else do you hear about stuff like this? So I was hanging out.
I haven't even told you about the cave bear that I saw in Missouri
Oh my
that I
goodness.
thought was a giant dog man that was hunting turkeys while we were on our way out to the missile site when I was in the
No,
Air
he
Force.
said cave bear, right? He said cave.
Yeah, cave bear.
Okay.
When I
you-
described it to a cryptozoologist, a really good one at the time, who's no longer with us, he was actually JC's mentor.
Mhm.
Not JC, but Jack's mentor, JC Johnson. He told me, "Oh no, what you're describing is a cave bear. There's been sightings about those too, not talked about a lot." I'm like, "Okay."
Yeah, I just seen a couple of little fuzzy things that were fuzzy white. They were like maybe this big, and they
Yeah.
were just running across the ground. And I thought it was like a roach because I don't like bugs so much.
Yeah.
And not that I had roaches in my apartment, but I was like walking at one point, and I was like, and I moved my foot out of the way really fast because I didn't want it to run over my foot. And then I like seen that it was like this little white, two of them, little white fuzzy things, just like scurrying by, and I was like, "Whoa, what the heck was that?" But it was one of those things where they weren't like in this reality, and that's why I asked that question, because they were. It's like you had to. And that was during my second awakening, so I was seeing things that normally I wouldn't see, kind of thing, because it is a frequency thing, like almost like when you see UFOs or you don't. It's like a
Yeah,
frequency.
and I think that's because my frequency may be a little different than the original.
Yeah,
Okay,
probably. I'm
is
just
why
saying.
I can pick a lot of this stuff up. Okay,
Sure.
perception wise, because
Yeah.
they may have come from a close or the same place.
Yeah. Well, maybe. I don't know. I mean,
But as far as and then aliens, I think a lot of that is time travelers from the future, as well as
Well, see,
what people claim too.
a lot of
but
this,
I-
a lot of
you-
this gets into
this
what
is-
I was
this is-
talking about
this
too,
is-
though.
This is one thing that really irritates people who are spiritual.
Hmm.
I don't believe in ghosts.
Oh yeah,
When you're gone.
yeah.
You either go up the ladder, down the ladder, or move laterally. You don't stay. Now, the contradiction with that, or not a contradiction, but to go along with that, each individual that's living has guides with them. They go with you from cradle to grave. They know every aspect about you. They know all your sounds, your mannerisms, everything.
you think so?
Oh, absolutely. That's just my belief. All right, and they can mimic if they have enough energy, or
Yeah.
because they are pure thought and pure energy. Okay, they can appear any way that they want, but because they're pure thought and pure energy, they could still have all the manias that you and I have. So they can be schizophrenic. They they could have PTSD because they got really attached to the individual and can't let them go.
Okay,
Okay.
that makes
Yeah.
sense.
And-
Absolutely.
You could choose
and-
better friends, dude. Seriously.
that makes sense.
I mean,
I'm serious, but this is how I explain.
yeah.
It's not grandma that's coming back to see me. All right.
Yeah. Right,
My
right.
grandma's, and that's probably why I don't get visits, because I understand how it works.
Yeah.
My understanding of how it works is different from what they want me to understand it. Maybe.
Right.
Now,
Right,
that
right.
that right there though, it also goes into what freaking we've been talking about too when it comes to the freaking whole thing with Al Kendi and because the thing about him is he did a lot of good research when it comes to like astronomy and he also laid foundations for a lot of stuff when it comes to the physics of life and the behaviors of rays and the perception of colors. And a lot of people don't realize that a lot of that affects us. Like when you're talking about this entity that is pure energy, you know what I'm saying? That has the same kind of behaviors that you have.
Can
Can have the
mimic.
same.
Yeah.
This has to do also with light. It has to do with the behavior of rays and our perception when it comes to color. You know what I mean? What one person sees isn't ever the same thing that another person sees. Like we never
Right.
see things the same.
Right.
Really? I was just thinking about that earlier. Seriously.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I really think people have a hard time connecting the dots when it comes to the fact that a lot of things that are spiritual is also physical. You know what I mean?
Now, I do understand in extreme circumstances there can be taboo things that happen.
Well, you got to understand,
Okay.
energy is
And
physical
when I'm talking
too.
about when I'm talking about taboo things, I'm talking about necromancy.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
That to me is the most taboo thing that there, and probably the worst sin that man could ever one of the worst sins that man could ever dabble with.
hmm Now, when it comes to necromancy, though, you've got to be honest. Okay, when you hear people, well, you know that there's pharmacology. You know what I mean? You know that there's freaking people that are going out and they're dissecting humans for freaking autopsies.
Yeah,
Okay,
but
2,000 years ago, that would have been.
but I'm not talking about putting something in a bottle while using the shell for something else.
Well, I'm saying that's necromancy.
That's what I'm saying.
That's
Okay.
That's necromancy. They're studying the dead. You see what I mean? That is a form of necromancy, and everybody just accepts it like it's okay. And when it's not,
Yeah.
according to real religions and theology,
Right. They even
it's
tell
sacrilege.
you, never shake the hand of an undertaker too in the Bible.
You know, back back in the days of freaking the Old Testament, it was not a good thing for any Jew to freaking touch a dead body.
Right.
Okay, they
Certain people could do it,
it was
and they weren't, and those people were not allowed to touch other people.
right. And these are the things that freaking a lot of people overlook. Like you have to question exactly how much do you believe in the stuff that you believe in. You know, like when you say that you're a Christian, do you really understand the implications of what being a Christian is, or being a Jewish person is, or any of these religious beliefs? Do you really understand what those texts are telling you that is sacrilegious to your belief? You know, like
Right.
we live in a world today where everybody thinks, well, this isn't the way it used to be. Well, that's not what your text says. It doesn't say that just because it's the year 2024, you can freaking act differently. That's not what it's saying.
Right. No, it doesn't say that at all.
You know, so I mean that's something that really sticks out to me. You know, when it comes to that. Now, the stuff that I just mentioned, this stuff was written back during those same times, and if you listen to what it's saying, it freaking justifies a lot of the things that are freaking being thought of today. You know, these were writings that were written at the same time that freaking these religions told you that you aren't allowed to freaking touch dead bodies.
Yep.
You know, and that's what is so amazing to me when it comes to all of that stuff. It just now like with Al-Kindi, okay, he was a pioneer in cryptography, okay, particularly when it comes to like frequency analysis. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah, stuff that Nancy and we talk about a lot with her show.
Okay.
On the wall.
He was a pioneer in that shit. He was doing that stuff thousands of years ago, dude.
Yep.
You know.
Before Tesla.
Before any of them, he was talking about frequencies and stuff of that nature. He had a manuscript, I believe, on the whole thing, and he also did what was it? There was something else. He was into freaking the rays. I know that. He applied Pythagorean principles to music, and he believed that it had a therapeutic effect on the human psyche. Okay, and that was the part that freaking I was wanting to get into whenever Sonia showed her guitar and everything, because that's something that a lot of people don't discuss either, about vibrations in the guitar and how it has a therapeutic effect on your psyche. And
that's been going on for eons,
Right.
because you know, you can even look at Vedic records, you know, about how they even use like the crystals to make certain tones and frequencies, and you know, healing with tuning forks and things like that. So I mean, this isn't new stuff.
You know, and
Yeah, sound crazy.
have you guys ever heard of this new? Well, since I brought up the facial recognition the last time to kind of irritate Mark, I wanted to bring this up too, because this is good shit. Have you guys ever heard of Vocaloid?
Oh yeah.
Okay, now
Started out Miko Hatsune, and then Yamaha is the only one that really has the name. All right, Vocaloid. There are many different voice sets out there that are not made from Yamaha, but they cannot be labeled as Vocaloid.
Okay, now since you are actually probably the only other person I know who can frickin' mention it, I can read this, or I can just let you kind of give a little bit of your take on it first.
Go ahead and read it, and then I'll give you a little bit extra that I've got from it. I actually have a lot of Vocaloid music.
Okay, now the thing is though, is I want your raw opinion of it rather than me reading it out. So I would rather you say it, because then if you want me to, I can go over it, but I want your raw take on this, okay? Because this is very cool shit.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting, and I think it when it first started out, I thought it was like, that's going to be a way that, you know, if an artist, you know, ever gets sick or loses their voice, you know, they can actually still perform. All right? That's how I looked at it. I looked at it as a tool. And then I started collecting it probably about maybe 16 or 17 years ago, maybe a lot longer than that probably, because I really kind of liked the sound to it, and it started out with like one or two of them, and then it went up to like 250 different voice sets, and each one of them has a name, a personality, and they can actually throw them together and make like laser shows and holographic shows out of them. And they do those things at concerts for that, which is really neat. But I don't know. I mean, it still has the old voice sets are still, that Yamaha has are still have a kind of auto-tune sound to them. Some of them, and others don't. Now with voice sets and things like that, now you can with music generation and that, you can actually make a whole song without ever having a band or a group. You put in what you want it to do, and it'll generate it for you with the lyrics and a singer that you might know or not know, or you can tell it, well, I want it to have a combination of these voices. Can you combine them? And then because we don't want anybody to be copyrighting us and things like that. So because all those voice sets, when you do it that way, are not copyrighted right now, and you can't copyright those. But if you use the Yamaha deal for label Vocaloid, or any of like the other company ones that have specific sound for their voice sets, oh yeah, they're copywritten.
Well, Peyton said, yeah. License.
Yeah, it's really.
I don't know if that answered your question or not, or about it, but I always saw it as like a neat, cool tool that could maybe even help people that are mute, be able to some vocalize without having the ability physically to vocalize.
Now, see, the reason why I wanted to bring that up, and I'm glad that you said all that stuff, was because of Al Kendi. Okay, now Al Kendi had a love for harmony, and it extended into music theory. He sought to explain like the mathematical relationships between musical intervals and their emotional effects. So that was why he studied. He wanted to understand the relationship between the emotional effects and between the intervals in between each note and stuff of that nature. Now, the whole thing when it comes to he did a compilation with treatise on the composition of melodies is what he ended up doing, and the whole thing about it that for me that really sticks out to me when it comes to the whole esoterics part of it is, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of well, this is something that was cool because it's going to piss off both of the marks, but because I know they both hate it, and it's K-pop. Yeah, okay, I want to talk a little bit about
There's a time and place for it, but I like J-pop a little bit better. Actually, J-rock is a lot better than K-pop.
Well, let me bring up this guy. Have you guys ever heard of Kikuo?
Who?
Kikuo?
No.
Okay, Kikuo.
But my daughters probably have.
Kikuo is a Japanese musician, if you want to call it that, but he's a songwriter, and he does Vocaloid. He's a Vocaloid producer. Now this guy, he doesn't outright say that he's into the esoterics of music, but you can kind of get that creepy vibe from his music, because what it is like this is like J-pop or K-pop or however it's said. But he does it in a way where he brings out like the dark part of stories in a K-pop kind of tradition. You know what I mean? If you've ever listened to it, it's all just kind of like Fuzzy Bears kind of shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you had that, and whenever you turn around and you listen to him, like he does songs that are kind of like that, but it has a freaking real dark side to it as well. You know what I'm saying? And it's really, really, really strange. Like he.
Well, that would not be unsurprising though, because the occult in Asia connects to everything. You know, from the air they breathe, the the broom that they sweep with, the floor that they walk on, the way their furniture is arranged, everything. All right, so that does not surprise me that if there's an occultic connection there.
And I keep trying to remember or try to find the guy, but a long time ago on Facebook, this guy was like a music professor in Japan, and he used to do video streams on there where he would talk about freaking music vibrations and how freaking it was associated to what were they? They were the sons in the Book of Enoch, the ones that taught the world about freaking music, metallurgy, and all that. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Well, he was talking about how music from that time period was introduced into freaking music of today, and he really did a really cool piece on there. And I'm still trying to find out who he is, but I haven't been on Facebook in like a year and a half, and I really don't want to go on there. You know what I mean? So that was what really got me interested in the whole music aspect and the esoterics, you know. So with that being said, I mean, I think freaking it's time for me to shut up and let you guys talk, especially when it comes to music and how you guys think that that affects people. What do you think, Mark Edworthy? You've been real quiet.
Well, music does affect people, but
No,
What?
he says it does affect people, but he does. That's about as far as he's gone with it.
that's my thoughts for the moment.
Now, do you think it could affect people on a large scale?
What, mass hysteria?
Well, we were talking about the hippies just a little while ago.
If you want to go into that, then you have to bring up the miracle of Donovan. Okay,
I guess
that's going to take you back to around Woodstock area, where Donovan, the guy that sang "Mellow Yellow," came out and did a concert, and there was a huge storm, and he told everybody if they put their hands together and said it's not going to rain, and it would stop raining. They did, and it stopped raining, and they had a concert.
Coincidence, I would say.
Right, but the people, I think they labeled that the phenomenon of Donovan.
Okay,
Oh,
what's your
sweet. Thank you, Mark, for contributing that. I had no idea about that, and that makes perfect sense because that's how it works.
Now you were
That's a great example.
you were getting ready to say
As an
something.
impact on like reality.
You were getting ready to say something before you kind of.
Yeah, I was. With bells, and all the bells were destroyed. Like they were apparently, and this is not that like any history we get handed is even real. I mean, who knows for sure? I wasn't there that I can recall. Sometimes I can. I'm sure people can. But my point is that they destroyed all of the bells and in churches and just gigantic. We're talking about the gigantic bells, like the ones that are like gongs. They're like huge bells. And the sound that came from those bells, because they would ring like, throughout at the same particular time, apparently this is what I'm getting, you know, that it would like, and these sounds, they would go through and they would heal anything that needed to be healed within everyone that heard the sound. It was just, you didn't even have to know about any, it's not even like knowing about anything, it's just that sound healed like anything that was like fucked up in a person. It like aligned your like your energy, and it was beautiful. And so, and this goes into the Tartaria thing, which is kind of controversial or whatever, but all these bells apparently were destroyed. Like they destroyed all of the bells, and they being the folks that had all the money, the power, the resources in order to travel places to destroy bells or to do, you know, recreate the scenario in the place, like the ones who, you know, like shot down some of the buildings, you know, with like a fucking aerial laser or whatever Maui you want to call it, you know what I mean? That kind of thing. To where it's like, well, so basically it's just any little thing that could happen to prevent humanity from ascending, because that's the whole point. Because then there will be no food resource going on if, you know, humanity is, it's not only will there not be any food resource going on, but annihilation is another thing that they're looking at. Actually, that's actually happening right now. Just saying. And so there's that.
Now, when you mentioned that actually got me, stimulated me. I liked hearing that. So.
Good. It should, Roger. It should.
Now you said bells, okay? Now, bells, just so I can kind of put out some insignificant facts here that people consider just small facts that mean nothing. I'm gonna point it out because that's what I'm cool about. Okay.
Every fact is significant.
Okay.
Come on.
Now bells were often baptized, and once baptized, they were believed to by many within the Christian Christian beliefs that who were Christians, it was believed that it possessed the power to ward off evil spirits. Okay.
Right, or heal. Same concept. Because the only reason we have ailments is because of evil fucking shit trying to come in.
Mm-hmm. Now, also to add to that too is in China, wooden wind chimes were thought to attract good fortune while repelling evil spirits.
Yeah. Same concept.
So you have that connection between the wooden wind chimes and the bells, and this is from,
well, they're both sound.
You know. So what I'm saying is
if you're going to go there, then I'm sure that there's a frequency for dream weavers too when wind blows and air goes through them.
Mm-hmm. Now,
sure, absolutely. I wouldn't agree.
A lot of people look at dream catchers and they think freaking, oh, that's just a dream catcher, but they don't understand either that is also a mandala. Okay, if you look at the way mandalas are constructed, that's how mandalas are constructed. I actually had to do one on Blender for my buddy Mr. Robot, and to this day, freaking, well, not here recently, but Bob Dub kept forgetting the fact that this is supposed to be a mandala, and she kept calling it a dream catcher, and I was like, no, it's freaking mandala, because people see these mandalas on the internet where it's freaking these images of cool freaking illustrations, I guess you could say, with music. You'll see it all the time on videos, but that's not a mandala, you know what I mean?
Not necessarily, no. It might be like an offshoot or a retarded cousin or something like that, but it's not like a mandala. It's not like a real mandala.
No, it's graphic effects is what it is. You know what I'm saying? It's the result of this computer graphics effects that are being introduced to you visually, where you're actually seeing it being done, and that comes back to another. You know, that comes back to another thing about technology and the esoteric and the freaking spiritual aspects of things. People don't connect that, you know. They just see a cool mandala image with music You know what I mean? Usually it's an audio visualization that people use it for, but
Yeah, that's another way, among a myriad of ways that people can be coerced or manipulated, is through just visual imagery, especially Mandela type stuff or whatever. And besides just that, just people being manipulated, it's almost like a perversion of the actual Mandela, like, itself. You know what I mean?
hmm
Like that concept in of itself is being like perverted into, like, I don't know, porn or something like that. It's like porn for whatever.
porn
You
for
know, people who
Buddhists.
are like, yeah. I'm just fucking with you, Roger. There.
No, I mean it is. It's porn for the Buddhists. Like the one thing I have a real bad issue with is when these people freaking bring up samsara. Like freaking, it's just so real and everything. And for me personally, I feel that samsara is just a justification for people who want to be lazy and live the lazy life. And
Well, sure, it could be for some, but samsara is nevertheless, even though maybe bastardized samsara, it's still samsara. It's still that concept that they're referring to.
well,
You know.
also you also got to take a look at like in Christian religion you have denominations, just like that Buddhism has denominations as well. So
Any religion.
so when I hear the word samsara coming out of a lot of Buddhists who talk about that stuff, they are the traditional Buddhists who don't agree with tantric traditions being introduced into their religion. So they want to verbalize in an aggressive way about samsara. And a friend of or a person that I know of made a reference, which was pretty good, about a Buddhist who came upon a bridge that he had to pay a toll for to get across. Well, instead of paying for the toll, he went and he sat next to the frickin' river and he meditated on it, hoping that through his meditation, he would just miraculously appear on the other side rather than paying the toll.
Right. It's translocation. That's what that's called.
Right.
That's a natural human ability. Mm-hmm.
Now, samsara
It
would be overcomplicating the fact that instead of going and paying the toll and crossing the bridge and being done with it, he'd rather sit at the edge of the stream and meditate over and over again, hoping that he would be transformed or transported to the other side of the river. You see what I mean? And so, I mean, that was a good analogy of it, but I still don't.
Did he go? Was he able to, like, move there?
Well, I'm just saying, like, I don't know the outcome if he was actually able to. I know that the whole plot behind it was just get up and pay the toll rather than sitting there and meditating about making across the river.
Well, what keeps coming to my mind is, like, who has say of the land? Where does that come from? You know, and if you look at that from that perspective, it's like, well, no one has say of the land because this is our land. Everyone, each individually, equally. Mm-hmm. So toll, you can stick your toll up your ass, kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Just sit around and meditate.
I mean, I get it. You pay the road, and there's a road to get through and stuff like that. I mean, I get it. Like, you should be compensated for that. That makes sense. And that's where friendliness comes into, or barter, or whatever you want to call it, to where you're just like, hey, you did this. Here you go, because I appreciate you for doing this thing, for figuring this out for everybody. But ultimately, if that never even happened in the first place, then people would have to look to their own innate abilities of, like, transforming or translocating or transmutation or whatever.
Right.
And I think the things that go on in this 3D arena has to do with negating those. It has to do with, like, blocking those. Just like cell phones. We're telepathic. Everyone's telepathic. That's just how we are born that way. Is how it works. Yeah, it's been like compounded with fluoride and like shit in the air. That's whole other story, by the way. But there's a lot of things coming at us that block this innate ability to be telepathic. And one of them is, well, if you give them cell phones, then they're not going to. Not only do they not know about their telepathic abilities, they're not going to even know about them or exercise them or be able to exercise them. It's like preventing it from that, because they can just call somebody. Let's just call somebody in the first place. You know, we don't have to like have a telepathic thing going on, or and that leads to communion, or like to unity is what that leads to.
Mm-hmm.
If telephones never came about, Roger, okay, if they never came about, we would be still relying on our like innate ability to like find where we're supposed to go or who we're supposed to talk to through that innate ability. And that would like even grow more and more and more and more, because we would be using it. You know, if you don't use something, it's not gonna grow.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So with telephones coming along, people shut that off. It was like they were able to shut that off, that part of them that they didn't even like consciously really even know about so much. I mean, maybe so, you know, so they shut that off, and then they're having to, like, they have this technology where they can just like, you know, hey, how's it going? You know, call somebody, even though it's still coming through so strong. And you all know this, Mark, number 2, and Roger, is that, you know, like when you're fucking hanging out, you know, and you're like, ma'am, I'm thinking about this friend, yeah, and we're gonna have a great time this weekend or next weekend or whatever. You're just thinking about it, and all of a sudden they call. You know why they fucking call? That's the whole innate telepathy coming through, because you know that shit. That's how it goes. You know that shit. You know what I mean, Mark? You know what I'm saying? This is like undeniable.
Now, for
it's
me,
undeniable.
For me, that has to do also with synchronicity, and a lot of people have issues discussing. You know, there's no such thing. There's no such thing as freaking coincidence. You know what I mean? Like there's
not.
And
shit happens for a reason. All of it.
So
whether it's sucky or whether
we actually have
team life, bro.
I know. I seen that.
Team life, bro.
Team life.
I'm here for the fucking team of humanity, bro. Okay.
Man,
that's why you gotta hop in the fucking can, Roger. What the fuck?
She's on fire. She is on fire. So
yeah, my on fire. Yeah, you fucking bet, dude. What other way is there to be?
Right.
How can you not even be that way?
No. See, the thing about me is with samsara is like where I'm talking about is I've learned to discern things, you know, and from what I've learned about people who always brings samsara up, it's usually those people who are real strict on discipline and duty and freaking responsibility, sure, and things of that nature, and they always want to throw that word samsara out to justify the reasoning for thinking like that. Like we have a responsibility as a human being.
Or unless you're like the way that is, yeah, I get it.
You know, and I have an issue with believing that, because that takes away from the people who freaking do believe in meditation and do believe in transmutation and all that stuff, you know. It's not the fact that I actually believe in any of it, or if I don't believe in any of it, but I do see that it's not right to freaking criticize this group so that it makes you look better. You know.
Right. Exactly.
So.
That's how the manipulation of one small part of the way humanity has been manipulated over the like eons is through that type of thing right there. That's just one little part of it. There's many other avenues you could go down. Like for example, now we have TV commercials that will really just shut off somebody's way of looking at things or their perception of things in one way or another. And it's dire too, because it has to do with, a lot of times it has to do with their health, like their ability to be healthy and to even feel good. Because I'm sure you know, when you don't feel good, nothing else matters. There's nothing else that matters except for feeling better. So, you know, they take advantage of that sort of thing, which is actually it's very sinister to me, because the whole thing is like turned around in the first place. 'Cause that's not even why it even happens in the first place. But there was one
Frequency
other thing I wanted to
analysis.
say. And call exactly what it is at this point in time, but I'm sure I will at some point in time.
This right here, what you were just talking about, is what well, I just read out about Al-Kindi, and he had a groundkeeping or groundbreaking freaking work that he'd done in frequency analysis. You know what I mean? And this was well over freaking 3,000 years ago, almost 3,000 years. You
might be prophetic in what you're saying as far as groundkeeping goes, because there are things such as gatekeepers who place themselves prominently in a profession or a science to where they the ultimate knowing of that particular science or area of knowledge, to where after they present themselves in that manner, no one else really questions it after that, because they have presented themselves. And there are those who actually do discover something and are like, hey, this is what's going on. Usually they get shut down by the government or whatever. However, they're like, those are gatekeepers, if that makes any sense.
Well,
they keep the gates of...
Well, the gatekeepers would be the ones shutting them down, though, wouldn't they?
Yeah. The gatekeepers are the keepers of knowledge that shut them down. Here, it's like David says, hear no further. And this is a recent David type of thing, hear no further. And he's absolutely right.
I thought you was talking about the King David. I thought you were like quoting out of the Bible. And
David,
shit.
I do know a little bit of King David stuff, and I don't know about that from the Bible. I know about that, I think, from fucking experientialness, because King David's been coming up for me a lot lately. And I do know a little bit about that, about the Solomon things and stuff like that. And I'm not sure exactly what I know until I'm prompted to, like, if you ask me questions about it, I might be able to figure it out.
Book of Psalms.
Yeah, I'm talking about like King Solomon, like the dude who had all the like demon codes or whatever. That dude, like
Book of Enoch.
Who had all that shit going on. And there's really a lot about that to be discussed, I think. Actually, I would love to do a video with you on that, because
that's a little too hardcore for people on YouTube to handle. I don't think they could handle something like the Book of Enoch and
things like that. I mean, Enoch is like related in a way, but not so much, I guess. I mean, I don't even know how it is. Apparently I have been involved in this sort of thing, like in a past life or something like that. And I really don't know how it's like how it is here, and so I can't really tell you that. But I do know that I know a lot of stuff about it, and I even just first heart, like first heart coming up. I know a lot of stuff about it, and I didn't even know I knew that. But the more people ask me about that, and the more I like interact with people who talk about stuff like that, I'm like, oh shit, yeah, I know about this shit, dude. I mean, I can like go in and like relate this shit to folks, which would be phenomenal. I mean, how phenomenal would that shit be for real? Like,
that would be good. And I'm glad you're actually thinking that way, because like me and Jaffe and even Mark's told you, freaking, you need to get more into this stuff and start doing it, because you got a lot of good information that people need to hear. That's why I wanted you on here, because like you're blowing it out of the water right now. Ask freaking this Mark number 2. What do you think, Mark?
Which Mark?
The other Mark. I would say I'd say Mark Edworthy if I was talking to you. I know your last name, but the other.
Mark Edworthy is number one.
Yeah.
He'll always be first in my heart. I mean, there's no way that would ever change.
But what do you think?
Way.
I mean,
I really don't know. I just want to go with it, because I feel when it's all said and done, it's done and over with anyways for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That way?
Yeah, I do. Because I've been told, that I'm an old soul. So, like, you're gonna have a choice when you get to the end. I'm like, okay, I choose oblivion.
Oh, really? Why?
I choose oblivion. I'm done with it. I'm
What?
just done with it.
Well,
I don't want to go
Really?
back
You're
ever again.
ask-
I don't
gonna
want.
say-
I don't want
Why'd you want-
anything. I don't want any attachments. I don't want any part of my body or any of that to be to
Attach-
contaminate anything
But
else.
Yeah.
My soul, same thing. Fragments of my soul. I don't want any of that. I want it obliterated into oblivion.
Oh.
That's
You're
where
the main walk. Why would you walk in with that? What did you? I was going to ask you earlier. One of my questions was why?
I've
why
been
did
through
you
a
walk
lot
in?
of different past lives,
Sure.
and all end very bad for
Right.
the worlds that I've been in. Extremely bad,
Right. And
and I don't want to go through it again.
Mm.
well,
And
look at you
if that's
now.
if
What
that's the
happened?
lesson,
So much different.
then my container, without the container,
Right.
I'm still stuck in a loop. I have to break the loop, and to break the loop, I want oblivion.
Now,
You know,
let me ask you something here. You guys wouldn't know this. Hold on. What is the name of that religion that believes in allowing the birds to eat the flesh off of the body and burning it, and they can't? You can't burn it.
There's certain sects of Buddhism that allow that,
Yeah,
and
it comes
in
from
Hinduism too.
yeah.
But I take an approach to that.
Buka
because-
or something.
They also believe that destruction, creation, and then you have your elements. I want to go to destruction complete.
I'm gonna
That doesn't
Google.
make any sense to me.
Because I feel that that's where everything always ends up leading anyways. So just jump
Well,
to the end.
Very pessimistic out, fucking like viewpoint. I mean, just come on.
Yeah,
really,
it's a very fatalistic look at life.
It is. Yeah.
It's a fatalistic
kind of
look at life. It's a fatalistic look at spirit, but it's also, an end to a means. All right, and breaks the cycle.
Wow. Well, if you mean to do that, I guess it would be an end, and there would be a cycle kind of broken. But I think it would be your own, not the collective.
Yeah, I don't. The collective will heal over time,
Prosper on.
but not my problem. Once
The
it's
Bond.
My
done.
problem.
It was the Bond. The Bond actually were the ones who believe in that.
Like, not my.
Yeah,
That's
because
so,
you
love your wife.
no, I'm divorced 3 times, so I have children. All right,
500. He has 500
7
kids.
7 kids. Okay.
He has a football team.
You're single.
Yes.
Is that what it is?
No,
You're
he's
single then, Mark?
I'm single. Yeah,
yeah,
I'm
he's
single right now.
He has like 500 kids or a football team.
No,
Oh.
7.
7.
A lot
But
of lots of love going on for somewhere or another. Because who would want oblivion?
You
Why
realize-
would you want that for humanity?
you realize.
Number
It doesn't
one-
make any sense.
Number one, I don't believe in reincarnation.
Mhm.
Not
Sure.
reincarnation. I do believe in reincarnation, but I don't believe in ghosts. Okay. But
And
with that, I want to end
Mhm.
it all with that. When my life is done, I want everything that was
Well, it's
attached
not
to
gonna-
anything like that to be done and over
Fuck it.
with.
come on, that doesn't happen that way. It doesn't happen that way.
Well,
It's still gonna be there. Why are you so unhappy?
it doesn't have to be unhappy. I mean, it's
I'm
like,
not
It doesn't.
I'm not
It doesn't have
unhappy.
to be.
you know,
I'm
You're not unhappy.
see, and this is what I'm talking about. This is people's
Making
way of
sense.
thinking about it. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
you got to take a look at it and say,
I'm not unhappy.
you know, it's like
No?
there's actually a certain
Right?
there's a certain
Never
warmth in the idea of oblivion. With oblivion, it comes the end. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, absolutely, there is. Every day
That's-
it's shoved
to
on
me-
me. Every day it's shoved.
To me,
Oblivion, like you.
oblivion means complete fulfillment.
Yeah.
All right,
That's it.
to me,
Maybe dark
Me.
space out there where this exists is, but that's still not oblivion. There's still like other folks who you're connected to, Mark motherfucker, okay, that don't want oblivion. You're not alone.
I'm not
You're
saying
not
it for everyone. I'm saying it. This is what my soul direction.
You have an
What?
impact on the whole. You are a starseed, motherfucker. You need to step up to the plate, motherfucker. Okay? Period. You already know this shit. I shouldn't have to even be here telling you this. But I would love for you to wear one of my starseed t-shirts because you are.
See, she's something else. Now, see, this is the whole thing that gets back into the whole samsara shit. It's where freaking you have to be careful and not try to say, look, man, you have a responsibility as a starseed. You know, I mean, that right there.
No, he does.
No, I mean,
Starseed.
This is the whole
They know
thing. Like, it goes down that path where there's expectations that are set on people and you have a responsibility because.
Yeah. You know what? When I was in Moo and when I was in Atlantis, I rejected it
March,
then.
that's where it comes from then, dude. Me and you, we were bros in Moo, period. And that's probably where I know your ass from.
And I've rejected it ever since because
Maybe so.
I was the
Maybe
last one of my type, at the time,
Maybe,
and I said
Mark,
enough is enough.
Maybe you have been through enough experiences in your existence, time, whatever you want to call it, from then till now. If you even want to see the linear part of existence,
I don't want to see
which
it.
is
That's
I
not
know you don't want to.
me.
Have you not experienced things from then? Have you not experienced things that allow you to let go of that like?
No, whatever happens with that irritates me more and makes me want to, push it along even quicker.
Really?
Not
What happened?
not my time as I am here, because I know if I do that would be very
You're walking
bad.
sometime.
And I'd end up
Why
back
did-
here again because I know that I have to sit and wait.
Mhm.
I have to wait my turn.
See, that's
No,
why I
you don't.
like
You don't have to
Do
Fugazi.
that.
I like.
I'm going
That's probably
to
the
do that.
problem. Sitting and wait-
Even
Why
if
are you sitting and
even
waiting?
if I have to put my hands under my ass when I sit,
Mhm.
I
See,
know I have to.
Have you guys ever heard of a band called Fugazi?
Oh yeah.
Now,
Ian
Fugazi,
McKay.
yeah, he came out. They came out
Ian
with a song,
McKay.
the waiting room. Okay, if you get a chance, listen to the waiting room, and it explains a little bit of what you're talking about waiting. Okay.
Because they can't get out.
Mhm.
You want to kill.
You know.
2, and this goes for everybody. But mark number 2, I want to say that I love you, and I honor all of the reasons and the things and that you feel and think and in any like dilemmas. Things are hard, especially in this place. Things are very, very hard.
I am just so
I tell
glad
you-
that I don't have the abilities or I'm allowed to use the abilities that I had, because I was a reaper.
Oh, interesting.
Now,
River
Of life, period.
like the Grim Reaper kind of Reaper.
Societies, destruction. They would send me or one of the other 4 from this group to do these things. And I'm done with it.
Okay.
And it usually
Do you
was
still do that?
probably on another level when I'm sleeping. They still rope me into doing things.
So? Well, you can.
I'm pretty sure that
you know.
when it comes to when it comes to those, and it's all And politics, I'm done with that too. And I'm not talking about this world's politics. I'm talking spiritual politics.
There's no politics in spiritualness.
Oh
There's
yes, there
politics in
is.
spiritualness.
The greatest I've dealt with there. You could call it politics. You could call it whatever. But they will trick you into doing things that you don't want to do.
If you're involved with politics in spiritual anything, then that right there tells you you're not actually involved with spirits that are like that's not even a good thing, because there's no hierarchy.
I know I have a lot of Draco reptilian through me.
Oh, that's what it is. Well, that explains everything right there. All right, there you go.
So
welcome, my lizard.
Fucking
I love
lizard.
you too.
So I do welcome Oblivion.
You fucking lizard.
I know.
Okay.
Bro.
I even said the
Nothing
F
happened,
word
bro.
and nobody even said nothing, dude.
Yeah.
Like, they're just like, come on,
No,
dude,
right.
seriously. Like, how many
I know,
people
bro.
cuss at me and say, Roger, you need to stop saying the F word. It makes you sound bad.
This is a conversation between like fucking us and stuff. So.
That's right. You
I didn't
guys,
even hear
Notice how clean I can keep it though too
Yeah.
while I'm going
yeah,
along.
you did good. Now,
absolutely no.
you
you're doing a
guys,
very, very, very.
you guys have achieved
So that was
freaking.
walking, was it a reptile type thing?
You
or-
guys have achieved 2
No,
hours
no,
and 50.
no. Hold on here.
Hold on.
The walk-in. Okay.
I love you, Roger.
The genetics were already in the container.
Okay, yeah, they're in place. Okay, that makes sense.
Okay.
I get it.
Not the other, and the transference isn't part of that. Okay, though it can pick up and connect with it.
I'm confused now.
Yeah, it can get really detailed. That's why I don't get into it.
Now,
What?
we
I mean,
are
I
at, hold up. We are at 2 hours and 52 minutes now before we hit 3 hours. So we do need to come back later, like you said, and discuss the Book of Enoch, because there's some good stuff that we've been actually doing with Nancy on her channel, and I would love.
Yeah,
I would love to frickin' come and do.
And some of those folks in the Book of Enoch, I'm sure that genetically, somewhere down the line, I was connected to them.
Right. Well, maybe
Yeah,
so.
I don't
Maybe
have the
every-
height. I don't have the height, but the awareness and things like that. You know,
You know what?
size.
My whole thing for you is like love. Period.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay, it's going to take you a while to get used to Mark. I would call him Mark W, but
Yeah, that's fine.
Mark number 2.
Mark number
For
2.
me.
But
For me.
you need to get
For you.
like he you know, that freaking touchy shit just doesn't work with Mark, dude.
No, it doesn't.
He
Yeah,
I'm the guy. I'm the guy that says, "Fine, let's push the button and see how the reset works."
yeah, Mark is
me
interesting.
too.
I am.
Love.
Yeah.
And it's not about love. It's just to see where it will go after that. You know?
So,
Yeah. Well,
'Cause
that's it's love, Mark. That's why I send you love.
That,
Fucking
you know,
Mark
okay,
number
so-
2 and
so-
shit.
So before we go, I want you guys to freaking go around and tell everybody how they can get in touch with you, because
My good friend.
we'll start out with Mark W first, and then we'll go.
Oh, look out, cats, dogs, and kids! You can get a hold of me
Look out.
by looking up
Out.
Dragus Productions at gmail.com or anywhere you can find Dragus Productions, where you can find all my hosts as well as
Greg is
all the stuff that I take and produce. And sometimes I even do AI art, which is, Mark these things. You know, he loves AI stuff.
Yeah.
You love him,
Love it.
because I'm gonna post the shit out of it on mine. So you have to go through and be like, "Oh, Mark, Mark, you can't be posting that kind of stuff without putting on there that it's not safe for work."
Yeah, I don't know.
You read the terms of service.
Okay, so now, Sonia, let everybody know how they can get in touch with you.
GalacticFire.com.
GalacticFire.com. Okay.
It's TE, not TIC. It's because it's tech. It's a little bit different tech. It's very soft tech, technology to just make you look at a different perspective. It's perspective technology is what it is, I would say.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, Mark Edworthy, give everybody your socials.
Nice and simple. Minds.com, Edworthy.
There you go.
Simple.
Minds.com. You can find me on Skype, and you can find me on Discord. On Skype, you can find me at Roger Hansen for my own personal account. I also have WWOW Talk, and I also help Summer Todd do her show, Summer Todd's Mystery Show, on well, usually it's supposed to be Saturdays, but whenever she feels like doing her show. You can catch me also on the Wonderful World of Weirdness, which is where this is being streamed to, as well as every other place. I have an account on X with that goes by Rog LOL 1973 and at ROGLOL 1973 if you want to see me there. I also have my minds.com account, which I don't use very much, but you can contact me there at Roger_Hansen. So that's about all I want to say. Cause
and before we go, since my hosts aren't here, flat or hollow?
I'm a hollow, dude. I mean, I don't believe.
I agree. Never flat.
I don't.
I don't even like women that way. Anyways, let's wrap it up.
So with that, I'd like to thank everybody for showing up, and we've actually had a pretty good stream here, so I appreciate you guys for freaking coming in and talking. So with that, I'm going to end, and thank you guys for being here.